adrenaline just like
My brain, I have this thing where my brain just repeats the cycle.
Yeah, just keep talking like it's fluid.
Let's go. Meditation.
Tell us how you were excited to come see us, Brian.
So I was really excited. I was just saying that we drove. It was like 13 hours, which is no big deal for us. But we drove until like 11 o'clock last night, and I literally couldn't sleep. It was like 3 in the morning. I think was the last time I looked at the clock because I was just geeked. I mean, I was just excited to get here. The King Cobra. I'm just always excited to hang out, and so then we were up at 7, drove the rest of the way. So it's been a long day, but it's been fun. You know, that King Cobra, dude. Jesus.
Look at the smile on his face. He's like,
no, it's the happiest I've ever seen Kevin. Like when we pulled out the King, like legitimately, I've never seen Kevin smile so big in his life. You know, and it's.
I'm like so impressed how like ridiculous she is, how she behaves.
Yeah. Well, it is all, that's the thing, and we're obviously talking about, Kevin's leucistic King Cobra. If you didn't watch a video, watch a video. It's down in the description, right? Or wherever. Yeah, put
wherever
it in the
Donny
description.
says.
But anyways,
I hope so.
It is a little bit of a bummer when, I hate to say this, but it's a bummer when you go interact with a King. And it's just like
it doesn't do anything.
It just like sits
it's
there like
a snake.
It's like this is an indigo, right? This isn't a King Cobra, and so that is a King Cobra.
I was happy when one of my little King Cobras you're playing with, and it
popped up.
Yeah, I was happy about that.
Yeah.
Like, don't fail him.
It's just so cool because they're so tall. You know what I mean? Like they're twice the height of a normal Cobra when they hood. So no, that was I can honestly say. The only other time that I think that I had that kind of adrenaline dump at the end of handling a venomous snake was when I was in Savages Cross in Australia and we caught a coastal taipan.
Yeah.
That was the only time that like during it, like we were talking, like you have to be like really, like you said, in the flow and not stressed out about it. But afterwards, there's like an adrenaline like dump. And you almost sort of like.
Did it make you tired? Like after?
It did, like right after, like both times. I when we were upstairs messing with Lilith, if that's what you're gonna call her. At the end, it was like for probably like 15 minutes, I felt like I was like almost drunk or something.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you're talking about. So basically, everybody like listening to this podcast, Brian's out here. He knew that I was gonna get a leucistic blue-eyed King Cobra, so she came in on Thanksgiving Day. And so Brian's like, all right, I'm going to come out there. I want to drive here and check her out. So Brian has this reoccurring dream for 10 years or so.
Over 10 years, yeah.
So, and it's like I was bitten by a white cobra.
Yeah, and killed. Not just bitten, killed. Yeah.
So it kind of had like a real value to it. And then I really like, he was telling me about it, but then when he actually came here and you started playing with it, I immediately watched Brian start perspiring when he started handling it, and you could see that there was like an emotional something.
Yeah, and I don't normally, number one, I don't sweat a lot. Number two, I don't normally get hyper when I'm like I always tell people I calm down when I'm handling a venomous snake. It's like I feel like I have a professional hockey player friend of mine, Brent Burns from the San Jose Sharks, and he always says that he's like, I see my life in slow motion, and I always say that like that's kind of how I feel when I'm handling a venomous snake. It's like it slows down, everything slows down, and you kind of just are you're one with the like I never feel more alive than when I'm on the end of a deadly snake, and but I will say today my heart rate was up, and I think it was the emotional side. And she's a fun snake. Snake.
So she's like really just she's got a lot of commitment to every single thing that she does. She's committed to. She often doesn't run. She wants to hold her ground, and actually she comes at you, and you can see when she's had it, and all of a sudden she just comes rushing forward, and so we haven't fed her yet. Because we knew Brian was coming, so we figured, best not to have a meal in it. So like after, we do our goodbyes tomorrow, if you say goodbye, we'll go into the trying to get her to eat and stuff. So Brian and I have been talking about, Brian and I are long friends, so we talk, and Brian always like checks in with me, and it's tough when we get on the phone.
Yeah, it's always like an hour and a half, 2 hours, like every time we're on the phone.
Yeah, so we're like always just like, he's got obviously a lot of crazy stuff happening. I got maybe crazy stuff in the world of animals and whatnot, and he's just, his life is larger than life, I suppose.
Gotcha.
And, well, in many ways, look at all the different things you're into. But we're always talking a lot about, you know, what excites us, and obviously we talk about some of the stuff that's bothering us too.
Yeah, of course.
And so and Brian will try to like motivate me.
Yeah.
And which is great.
Well, I think the reason I do that though, Kev, is that like I truly. I've said this, and you know, I always say that I make you uncomfortable when I say it, but I always say I think you're the best animal guy that I've ever met, and from a number of reasons. I mean, think about it. Me and Jay, my camera guy, Jay and I, my camera guy, were just talking, and you know, on the way here, and I had said how, like, in the beginning, remember how monitor people hated you?
Yeah.
Like, you know, because you were doing this stuff with monitors that you weren't supposed to do. And now it's the standard. Like, everybody does what you did. And so my point is that you have that. So I see this like ability and opportunity, and I think like, you know, honestly, like I've been so fortunate to grow my following and do so much stuff. And it's like I'll be, you know, honestly, it's like I feel you should do more than that. Like if people respect me, and some do and some don't, but people should respect you on a level that's much higher than me, because a lot of the things I do are because of you, you know, and so that's I think why I try to motivate you, is because I think like, man, you know, I mean, if Kevin could just achieve his ability in what he should, it's like you should be the number 1 animal guy on the planet. You know, I mean, my opinion. That's just my opinion.
And that is wonderful, and I truly mean that.
Hey, I just want to let you know, my encoder just like it got really hot, so they can hear you still right now. But I'm gonna go get an HDMI cable. But
okay, so
you're good.
So good.
Just keep talking. You're fine.
Right.
But this literally just overheated. I've never.
All right, good.
So,
yeah.
and I do really appreciate that, because obviously I value a lot of your opinion, and especially because you see so many people. So that's kind of powerful, and I appreciate that, and it's great, because I don't necessarily often see myself in that thing. I'm very critical of myself,
Right.
and never good enough or whatever, and so it's nice, and you know, I also enjoy, like, obviously my social media following is little. It's
But
pretty.
you're growing, you're doing really good.
You know, that's, you know, trying to do some things right. Donny is really, you know, he's really on it.
Yeah.
And all your advice is critical in getting us to do. Because at some point, if I just continue to do this and I couldn't build my audience much, then, you know, you're just like, okay, maybe it's just not meant to be, and then I'm going to go back to breeding garter snakes or something like that. And but it is nice to get like an audience that relishes what you do and is enjoying. Like, if I look at all my comments, the people are so friggin' nice, and I'm not just saying that because after a while I keep on repeating that, and it sounds like, you're just gonna just tell everybody they're wonderful, and but I like genuinely think that, because it's nice things.
Oh, it's great to you know, be careful not to put too much value in you know, what people think either way, but at the same time, it's interesting because lately I've noticed that, you know, a lot of times people are now commenting on my videos saying like, you know, I love, you know, taking advice from you and Kevin.
Yeah,
You know,
I get a lot of this,
cool.
dude.
That's
I'm getting
cool.
a lot of it too.
That's
You and
cool.
Brian are my favorites. And
that's
but
really
this is
cool.
where I'm just talking about if they're saying, hey, I had a problem with the snake, and then I took your advice. That's the kind of stuff I really like.
Yeah, that's cool.
Because I'm changing the way some people, you know, are thinking about things. And obviously I changed a lot of things by, you know, all the ball python mutations that I brought, and monitors, and reticulated pythons and stuff like that. And I'm obviously starting to see some of my other cool little projects.
Yeah.
You can see I'm going off in a different direction.
Yeah.
And it's nice to affect people. And if you give them some kind of like something that they're digesting that is digestible, but it's relevant and it's new kind of edgy thinking, they can incorporate that, and they can use that to expand other people. So I think it's kind of like that Christmas tree thing.
Sure.
And, you know, because we are trying to, you know, we're not talking about like expanding our audience for business.
Right.
I mean, sure, branding ourselves.
It does trickle. It's a trickle down effect, but that's not the motivation.
But I think we want to change people's how they understand things. Like I do timber rattlesnake stuff, and it's very critical for me to change people's ideas on timber rattlesnakes, or just rattlesnakes in general, because these people like live around them and they can kill them, and I want to try to like get some empathy. Go, look, the rattlesnake's not out in the parking lot because it's coming to get you. It's out in the parking lot because you just developed the whole ridge where it lives, and it's like has no place to bask, or all the trees are overgrown and all that stuff. Did you know that I discovered the snake, snake fungus,
Yeah.
snake fungal disease, Ophiomyces ophioidecola. I just want to know if you knew that. And that literally is somebody in our industry.
Do you know that that's now spread? There's some cases in Michigan now.
Oh yeah, dude, it's all over the place. And it took me 10 years to argue and get people to know this was real. And what's interesting is somebody from our industry, myself, who took my snake knowledge, and then I happened to be watching timber rattlesnakes, and I knew something was wrong with these timber rattlesnakes because they were acting different, they looked different, and I just took what I learned from looking at snakes every day and was able to assess when the people that are researching these animals, people that are studying them, that have degrees and all this stuff, because I don't have degrees in this. This is I just make the stuff up as I go. And I was able to find that there was a problem, and then I stuck to my ideals for 10 years. And now I even published a peer-reviewed paper on snake. I got corn snakes from you.
Right.
We infected those in the lab with snake fungal disease to show that these animals evolved with it. And we had all different genetics in there, so we had to take a diverse gene stock. We had to infect them by scratching them with sandpaper. And we can infect them with Geomyces destructans and show that they become symptomatic within 5 to 7 days.
So it was actually passing on to those.
Absolutely.
Wow.
So you scratch and you damage their waxy sheath, or what protects them. And we showed that the animals actually evolve. It's so. At some point, I was being blamed for the disease.
Oh my God.
People are saying that, how do you know you're just not bringing it there? And there's a long story to this. But you could also go to Timber Rattlesnakes on Facebook. That's my little Facebook group for Timber Rattlesnakes. And I have a whole PowerPoint presentation on that. But I made some enemies in all the researchers and people that are studying these animals because I never backed down from what I was saying. And ultimately, I was right.
Right.
And every single thing I thought about was actually right.
Right.
And now it's turned to be like snake fungal disease, SFD. And that is literally the fungus that I discovered when they were first looking at it. They couldn't even identify it because it was an unknown fungus.
Wow.
So we had to do DNA and all that. And then they took one of my samples from actually an infected water snake, which is now the standard. Oh. So yeah, that's the standard DNA for Ophiomyces ophioidecola.
Now, I know that some people have talked about that maybe these animals had this fungus forever, but the winters have changed. Is that possible?
Absolutely. Between 1995 and 2006, we had 11 of the most consecutive winters in New England area. So there's a lot of things. We could go on about this. I don't want to bore our listeners. It's really interesting. So as climate change, because I believe absolutely in climate change, global warming and stuff like that, people are like, well, this winter's colder. It's like, no, you're going to get more extreme fluctuations in the weather patterns.
Yeah. If you believe in science, you believe in climate change.
Yeah, but the average ground temperature, I think, has risen, and those few degrees is
enough to not kill the fungus.
It's not even killing it. What it's doing is when the snake returns in the fall to the den and it goes under, it's meeting all this very active fungus that normally the snake would come to the den and then go under, and then maybe the fungus is only active for a short period of time, and then it goes dormant. Right. Because at a certain temperature, let's say it's 50 degrees, it goes dormant, but at 52, it's still active. So the snake comes back, gets infected with it, and now the fungus is growing when the animal has no immune system, so there's no immune response, and it's basically a piece of refrigerated meat.
Right.
And now it has a longer window. It has to sit here with an active fungal infection. So these animals, when they come out in the spring or even come out during the winter, they come out with these lesions. Yeah. And the trick was, we proved in the paper that these animals evolve with it. So when you infect the animal, they do something, and it's called neutrophils. Mm-hmm. Neutrophils is basically like hydrogen peroxide. So if I take the snake and I inoculate it with fungus, the body releases these neutrophils like hydrogen peroxide, and it burns the fungus. So it immediately had a response. Okay. You don't get white blood. You don't get some way we battle an infection. Right. We don't do that kind of stuff, or the snake doesn't do that kind of stuff. They do this very primitive type thing, but it immediately goes to it. So we've shown that you can take animals, these colubrids or whatever, and you can infect them, and they immediately respond to it. It's not like something that we introduced from a bearded dragon or something like that that people would say. But it's really interesting. There's a lot more to the story if anybody were to want to investigate. But let's go off on a...
I guess the whole point was that you're growing your audience, can expose things that you're passionate about. And I agree with that. You know, as you grow social, people care about, you know, Steve Irwin was great with that, right? His whole mission was, you know, if you could get people to love something, then they're going to care and they're going to save it.
And that's the most wonderful thing. And I know you obviously did way more like the reality show, and you had shows you were on and all that, and I was being groomed for reality, and then they were pitching by basically Icon Films. Yeah. They were pitching a show for me, so instead of River Monsters, it would be called Slither Monsters.
Yeah, I remember
and
that.
They were really pushing it to all these different networks, and they're like, you know, Reptiles or this like really stuff. We need the drama. They need all that. Yeah. So, like that formula wouldn't even work. So they pitched me for quite a while, and it just.
Nowadays the thing that's great is that TV doesn't even matter these days. I mean, listen, there's a platform for TV. There's no doubt about it. But you know, I'll give you an example. Like just 2 years ago, when we were on Discovery with Venom Hunters, we were getting about 0.4 Nielsen ratings, which is essentially just means that 0.4% of people that have TV set tops actually watched. Right? That's what that's
not significant.
Yeah, it's not significant. 0.4%, and we were running at about 17th to 20th in ratings. Now the ratings are about 0.25. You're in the top 5. Think about that. So just in 2 years, 0.25 when I was on Discovery would have been probably 110th. Now it's in the top 5. So TV is becoming a lot less significant.
I get it. Everything
a lot less
is social media
and social media and YouTube and you know, certainly, I mean, we do, you know, upwards of sometimes 15 million views a month. You know, lately it's been a little lower.
How many subscribers do you have right now on YouTube?
2.4 million.
That is like so incredible. So I remember when we were first talking, and my friends owned snake bites. Yeah. Remember? And you asked if you could use it. So I remember that. Yeah. And you know what's really cool is Brian and I have, I mean, through the very beginning when Brian was like pushing on the reality show, and then the internet thing, I remember Brian would always talk to me about it. And he always had a very keen vision, and your vision paid off.
Yeah, I think that, you know, not just with you know, YouTube success or social success, but I think in everything I always talk about being persistent. You know, I think that, you know, most people, you know, the saying is, right, most people give up just before they succeed, you know, and so I've always been this guy that, like, as long as I think in business you need to know when you need to abandon and walk away and go like, all right, I lost it. I did that with BH3 Reptiles, right? I mean, I lost hundreds of thousands of dollars to walk away from what was like, you know, I loved, but I knew it wasn't working. And so I literally walked away. This was just said, how did me and Kevin meet? I'm going to tell the story about it in a second, but you guys will love it. But my point is that, you know, you got to know when to walk away or change. But at the same time, if you really believe in something and you think it's going to work, you've got to have the tenacity to just keep pushing. You know, just going forward and forward.
You know, it's kind of interesting, like a little bit to a parallel to that. So, you know, to keep pushing, and you can be from nothing to something amazing. It just, you know, how your brain works and just whatever. So a great example of that, when I got into this reptile thing, like looking at the Bob Clarks, I literally felt like a meager nothing. I felt so insignificant. I went to his place, right, and I'm like, oh my God, these like snakes of like fantasy, right? But I remember you at reptile shows, and you were moving. You were colubrid based, and then you were moving into ball pythons, and I was kind of doing my little ball python thing. Yeah. And then you developed your African connection. Yeah. Yeah. And you were like, you just were crushing it. I remember the Viper ball?
Of course, yeah. We actually just brought.
How much did you for that? Sell that like 45 grand or something.
It was like, I think it was 45 or 50 grand. Yeah. And it turned out to not prove it. We just literally talked about it on the vlog like a couple weeks ago.
The secret Viper ball picture and all that stuff.
And it just unfortunately didn't prove out to be genetic. We bred it.
45 grand.
Yep, we bred it. We produced. Well, first I thought for sure. Interestingly enough, the same year we brought the Viper ball and the Sunset ball in, the same exact year, and I thought for sure the Sunset was going to be
one of those
co-dominant, though. Yeah. I thought it was going to be a co-dominant, and then I thought the Viper ball was going to be recessive. That was my inclination, and so when the Sunset didn't prove to be, because it looks cinnamonish a little bit, But it also could have been one of those IMG or black balls or whatever the case is. So I knew I was taking a risk. Now I did bring $70,000, and I paid $70,000 for the Sunset, which was ridiculous. And so when I bred the Viper and they were both males. I bred both of them the same year, and I produced babies from both of them, and all the babies were normal on both sides. Now with the Viper ball, I thought
this is the worst breeding season ever.
Yeah. Now with the Viper ball, I thought, okay, well it's probably going to be recessive anyway, so I'm not surprised. With the Sunset, I pretty much killed the project because I was like, oh, well, that project's dead. It's just another one of those soot balls or whatever you want to call it.
Yes, and I remember breeding some of those, the greenheads and all that different stuff, gnarly looking animals. I wasn't paying that kind of money from Africa. Yeah. Bringing them in, and then like 3 years, 5 years in, you're like, mother, this thing isn't even genetic.
Yeah.
And you're like, this is what a waste.
Yeah, it was tough, but then I shelved that Sunset for like 5 years. I was raising up hets for like 5 years and just slowly raising up because I wasn't even in any kind of a thing. But I was pushing the Vipers. So the Vipers got up to size in like 2 years, the hets or whatever. And then I bred them to Viper. I bred them back to, I think we had like 15 clutches over 2 or 3 years. Never produced one unusual animal from the Viper ball. But then finally, like 5 years later, when I'd given up on the Sunsets, I finally bred them, and they turned out to be recessive, and I kind of really blew it because although they were great when we produced them, it was it was so many years later I really.
And one thing I want to throw in, this is a little bit controversial, but so when you're doing these projects, and you need this long-term sight to do these things, and you really, it's tough. You spend a lot of money, and you get excited, and then you have the first failure when you realize that's not incomplete dominance, and then you shelf it. I know all about that, and it's very hard to people. Like, I'm trying to understand what Brian, who originated so many different mutations, and myself. We go through a lot of emotional swings and moods, and you get really discouraged, and then one of your favorite snakes die. I could have 5,000 snakes, and one of my favorite snakes dies, and it will ruin me for the day or days, or it'll hurt. It'll hurt you. But to the point where it's like, I hate this. Why am I doing this? What is going on?
Really quick, you can feel defeated, where you feel like why am I?
If I was a superhero, I would be Captain Defeatist.
Yeah, Captain Defeated. But I think that's just normal. I think in that case, and it's. I have a project that I'm hopefully going to breed this year for the first time. I produce hats if they are. It's called the White Sprinkle. And it's kind
of... What a killer, edgy day, Brian.
Yeah, well, what it is it came from Stephen Brockhammer. He called it White Sprinkle. So I just... And it was on the cover of one of his books. And this literally...
Stephen.
I'm not... I am not kidding you. I bought this snake 9 or 10 years ago.
What is it?
It's like a normal ball python that looks like it has little cotton balls of white on it, not like a pied, just like puffs of white, like boop boop. And that's why I called it a White Sprinkle. And it was a baby when it hatched, so it wasn't like something that was older that got developed, and it never changed. So I produced, it probably took me 2 or 3 years to raise up. I bred some hets, produced hets. It's been like 8 or 9 years. I have never bred them. This year is the first year we're going to breed the White Sprinkle male that we still have.
Can you show me a picture sometime?
Yeah, I mean, you won't be overly impressed. So I'm hoping this is a low expression White Sprinkle, but I mean, it's interesting. But my point is that how you can lose your momentum and go if I produce this thing and it turns out to be recessive and there's some really wacky great thing going on, I'm going to think to myself, I just wasted 6 years on the project where I could have been producing 6 years ago, but it's still cool. But
all right, Brian, if you were a dinosaur, what would you be? So if I was a dinosaur today, I'd say I'd be a Defeatosaurus Rex.
Defeatosaurus Rex, I like it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a witty comeback for that. I wish I did.
Thank you, Sam and Bo, for the $20. You want to say thanks to this guy?
Thank you. Sam and Bo is wonderful. Thanks, anyways, right? Over and over, that's a big support.
Yeah. By the way, super chat's really important, guys. I mean, when you're supporting a channel like Kevin's and mine as well, when you're doing stuff like that, the super chat is super important because the time, the energy it takes to produce this stuff. Listen, it's not free. Not only is the equipment and the time and the employees, but also Kevin's time's valuable too. And when he's sitting here, and sometimes even just $2 in the super chat can really add up.
You know what's good about right now, guys? Brian and I had a very, very busy day, so my hyperactivity is way brought down. So I'm very level right now. which is kind of interesting. And then I say some candy, and then I get the sugar shock, which slows me down.
Yeah.
That I figured that would calm me down. You want to answer his? You still want the question how we met?
Oh yeah, the question was how we met. So really there was
Grinder.
I look at it as Grinder.
You should have just said that. That would have been way better.
Do I swipe left or right? I don't remember.
Always
not
right.
Grinder.
Down.
Up or down.
You broke your phone. Why?
I know you're supposed to swipe one way or the other. I don't know which way it is, but
Up or down.
On
Thank you
Grinder,
for letting us
it's
know.
up and down.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. There you go. I learned something new today.
Jeremy would know.
He's our expert, you know.
And like I didn't know. Come
Yeah.
on. You know?
It's a secret here, nerd.
Come on, I knew that. No, but there was really two meetings, to be honest with you. One was a fleeting meeting that we met in Orlando, the second ever Orlando Expo. And there was a guy named Mike Ellard from a company called England Reptiles.
Yes,
and,
now old school.
Yep, old school. And there was me and Kevin were
Kevin and I. There we go.
Kevin and I, and really Tracy Barker and Dave were the only people that really seemed to be caring about ball pythons, right? You know, I mean, you had Bob Clark had albinos, and I think Ernie Wagner, I think Brian Sharp still had one pied. I don't even think Pete had pieds at the time. But regardless, there was rumor that
he didn't. Noah had those.
Yeah, I think Noah had. Yeah. So there was a rumor that Mike Ellard was going to be bringing some hypo ball pythons, and so just by happenstance, Mike was set up directly behind me. So like we were like kind of back to back, and so I see I'm setting up my booth for the Orlando show, which ultimately turned out to be the Daytona show, where it is now a big show, and so I see Mike come up with a 10-gallon aquarium, and there's these hypo ball pythons in there.
These are ghost balls.
Yeah, ghost balls, but at the time we would just call them hypos because we didn't know, or I don't even know if
I'm the one who came up with the ghost name. So when I used to want to describe them to the importers, I would say it would be like a ball python you threw in the freezer and then you took it out and it like frost up. And it looked like that. That's a pretty good description.
That's a great description. That's where I keep most of my ghost ball pythons too, is in the freezer. But I'm kidding.
Should I interrupt you guys with super chats? Like, what's the professional thing to do in this? Should I be like, hey guys, Nathan Caucus just gave us $4.99, and that's like a spider ball. And then we got like that jeweler guy gave us $10. Should I just break in?
That jeweler guy, he's a great guy.
Does he give money to you too?
He supports me and Noah a lot. He's a great dude, man. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you very much.
Oh,
man.
and Jordan Pratt gave us $9.99. This is all going to that doll Kevin said I could have. That was pretty
the
cool.
troglodyte doll.
Yeah, it's great.
Yes.
Yeah.
The troglodyte doll that can't fight back, folks.
Why would you say that? Why would you do it with 700 people in here? You do this.
Okay. So go on, kid. This is a good story.
So regardless, I was really excited, and Mike was bringing his stuff in. I see this 10-gallon aquarium, and I see a few little ball pythons in there. And I had heard of Kevin, but me and Kevin had never met.
Keep that guy away.
Yeah, I've never met him and stuff like that. So I see Kevin walk up to the table. And I'm back to back, and so I'm like 5 feet away. I see Kevin, and they're looking at ball pythons, and I was excited, so I just kind of pop over, and I knew Mike, and I'm like, hey, Mike, what's the deal with these ghost ball pythons? And Kevin looks at me, and he goes, we never met. He goes, the deal is I'm fucking trying to buy these.
Really?
Yeah.
Holy shit! And I was definitely stay away from them because I'm trying to
But so anyways, my point is that I was like, who the hell is this dude, man? And so as it worked out, Kevin bought one, Tracy bought one, and I bought one. So we all got them because they were $500. They were $500, and neither, I guess none of us wanted to put out more than $500 because we weren't that positive that ball pythons were worth it. Anyways, my point is, I that was the first time I met Kevin, and it wasn't the best impression I ever had of him. But anyway, so
it's pretty cool.
It's never is it?
Could never go. So then a couple of months later, we were down at the ETHS in Houston. Yes. And I remember you showing up, and I was kind of like, man, this Kevin guy, he can be obnoxious or something like that. But then it was weird. You like neither one of us had tables. So somehow we just got I don't even remember how, we just started bullshitting. We're talking about ball pythons, talking about this and that thing. And then like I had mentioned, we went out to lunch with Bechtel and his wife, And ever since, I mean, like, I remember literally coming home and telling Lori, like, yeah, you know, remember I thought Kevin was kind of a jerk? He's like a cool dude, man. And she's like, really? And I think it wasn't like, I'm sure I just caught you at the exact wrong time when you were like in the moment, like, I need to buy this ball python.
I get super focused.
You know, and so regardless, it was like 2 meetings, one not so friendly, and one. But ever since, I've loved you to death, and the
That's funny. So, who made the first ghost ball pythons? Who named them?
You named them, right?
And who made the first?
Did you? Yeah. I didn't know.
Yeah, it was the
first.
That was the first. First thing I ever.
So get this. This
first
is
ball python.
I got a ghost ball python story for you. Pretty interesting. So I got the ghost ball python I got from Mike Ellard was a female.
Yep.
Remember Doug Beard?
Yes, Douglas. Yep.
Okay.
Douglas
so
and
he
Janie
sent me a male ghost as well, and I bred those together.
Same line.
Well, get this. It's even weirder. I produced 6 eggs, 3 ghosts, and 3 hets. 3 ghosts and 3 hets. So it wasn't the green and orange line.
Here's that blonde. Remember that blonde line?
Yeah, I don't know what it was, but somehow one must have been like het for the other, but but not compatible. So I produced 3 ghosts and 3 normals from that clutch. Now, and there couldn't be any retention because it was a female baby that I raised up. So
that is pretty crazy.
Yeah, I never did really figure out what happened.
And that was, I think I produced the first ghost balls like in '96 or something like that.
About right. That's about
and
right.
I think I did the ghost balls first, and then I did like caramel.
Oh, I remember the caramel
albinos and the pastel jungles. And the first time we did pastel jungles, dude, I had normals.
Oh,
and then I raised them. I raised them because they were hets.
Now, do you remember I Daytona? This is when it moved to Daytona. I think you were actually like banished to the little room. Remember that? The little room banishment?
Yes, because I talked smack to Wayne Hill. You want to tell you why?
No.
So I had a red tegu that had a regen tail. So it was a tegu where its tail had grown back, and he comes over and he told me to get it off the table because that could be like wild caught. And I'm like, that thing is because it was captive.
Yeah.
And I argued, and he's like, take off the table. I'm like, no, I don't want to take off the table. It's actually captive. And I argued, and he didn't like it, and and he banished me.
Can I thank some people real quick?
What? I got punished.
We have so many. Hold on. What was it? All these people, the jeweler guy, he wants you guys to talk about microscales. Don't bother with that yet, because there's like a ton more. Philip Weedman, he donated $10. Christine Kilmore gives 25. And Arctic, a.k.a.
Christine, hi, how are you? It's been
She's
forever.
very nice.
She's super nice.
And Arctic, a.k.a. gives $9.99. But Kevin, dude, killing it right now. Look at that.
Good job.
Look at all the money you're making, dude.
People, that love doll for Donny.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's gonna change the quality of the.
Oh, and Soulless Hotkey?
No, honky.
Honky?
Soulless Honky?
666 he gave you? That's not very cool. Don't talk about Satan in our live stream. That's not cool. Seriously, Brian Barczyk's here. We don't like that. What are you doing?
No,
How dare you?
I don't like evil things. Yeah.
So.
Well, that's the evil.
All right, so go on. So go on. Tell your story.
So anyways,
because this is what people I think.
Yeah, no,
really
this is
want
what
to
was
hear.
really cool. I remember you showing me the pastel jungles, and again, a lot of people don't know that they were pastel jungles. They weren't pastels. They were pastel jungles. And I bought a female from you.
Yeah, you did. I remember it.
$15,000.
Yeah.
I remember buying $15,000. And yeah, that was like a big.
That was a lemon pastel too. That was a lemon pastel. It was a smoke show.
She lived for at least 20 years. She like bred for. She probably didn't really die that long ago.
Right.
She produced tons of clutches for me, and she was like my founder of all my pastels.
And that makes a lot of nice pastels. Lemon pastel, that's where I actually ended up getting my fader out of it and stuff like that. But I literally thought it was recessive. I didn't even understand like incomplete dominance. We used to call it co-dominance.
Yeah.
We'd seen that expression in tiger retakes. And so it kind of confused me. So I raised up these hets, and then I bred the male back to one of his daughters, and I think I hatched out 3 lemon pastels. But I remember seeing them on Graziani's table.
Oh, that's right.
I'm like, but I made these something similar, but they're recessive. And he's like, I produced them first generation. I'm like, what? And then I'm like, oh, he's got something different or magical. And I bought one.
Oh, you thought that you had something different.
Well, I bought one because I'm like, you're made of first generation. I'm like, I already made these.
But mine were recessive, and yours are incomplete.
And you might have bought one of the first female. Or what?
I think I might have bought
the
first
female.
female.
Yeah, you got one of those.
I think that you told me that.
Yeah.
I remember taking it up into my room. I remember this so much. I remember me and Lori were sitting on our bed. That little pastel. She had the bandit, like the Y on her. She had that beautiful.
Yeah, that's
Y.
classic lemon pastel.
And I remember sitting just having her on the pillow, looking at her, just being blown away. That was the only animal I bought that entire Daytona show. And, I love that animal, and and she was most of my pastels I have in my collection now. Not that I have a ton, but were from that line because I don't think I ever bought anyone else's.
So a funny story is the first pastel jungle I get basically, and it comes in. And it had a massive injury, it looked like it got plowed, like run over with the plow. And it lived only a couple days, and it died. So I got it from my buddy Ricky Duffield, and I was so upset. And it was like $5,000 or something. So I was actually starting to do everything I could, just yes, I want it. So I lost it. I was like, he's like, I'll try to look you up and see if we can find another one. And they looked in the same area, and they found the other lemon pastel. And that was my founding stock. And I was breeding these high contrast balls, and they just looked a little bit cleaner, a little bit whatever. And Vin Russo ended up getting one of I got out of that project when I got my pastel jungles.
Oh, is it the Ham Russo stuff?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
It was.
That is funny.
It was.
So you would have been that far ahead on the Lucy project.
Well, there was this woman like Debbie or something like that from out in the Midwest, and she bought 3 of those things from me. And we never even knew. And Vin was the one that was able to breed it together. I just was making these, and they had a little bit of they were yellowy and kind of white. And I'm like, I'm getting rid of this because I was only selling for $300 and something dollars. I think Vin got it for $100 or something like that.
Gosh. Well, I know that. Well, look, same thing with Oz with the orange strings, right? He bought it from Ian for $100.
But I remember something cool or funny was Vin got it. And it had I think it had a tick on it or something like that because I was getting imported ball pythons, and I think. I might have put it in a bag or something like that, and so he never gave it any value or whatever. But he told me that I'm like I couldn't even believe. He said it had I was kind of shocked, but maybe it's a bag, so I get imported ball pythons because I was getting imported ball pythons. They're coming in covered in ticks and stuff like that. So it's just funny. There's so many interesting little stories when it comes to ball pythons.
Remember when you? I don't know if you remember, and this goes back a lot, early internet days before anyone produced white snakes. And I think it must have been a Super Walma or Super Spider.
Hidden Gene Walma.
You posted a picture of it, and you said the eye was the picture. Yeah. And it looked like a leucistic ball python with an eye. It was a white snake with the eye, and unfortunately, I guess it never made it.
Oh, yeah.
But that was I remember everyone talking about that, oh my God, the first white ball, because that was the holy grail.
Do you know what was amazing? So when I bred a Hidden Gene Walma ball to another one, and I remember the eggs were incubating or something like that. I had a dream. And in the dream, I was looking down at myself sitting in a chair and hatching a white ball python.
Oh my gosh.
So somewhere along the line, now I never would have thought that a Hidden Gene Walma would make this white snake. So I got in this idea there could be white snakes in that. It was really weird because I don't really necessarily believe in any of that, but it was so bizarre. And I got in this mindset, and my partner, they would do a lot of ball pythons with Lindy. I was telling him, I'm like, whatever.
And he's like, you're crazy.
Dude, I look in the egg and there's a freaking white snake.
Oh my God.
Of course, the sad tragedy that comes out, it's woo!
Yeah, Luke.
And all, there's so many, heartbreaks.
That's the heartbreaker. I know I've had those too, where you produce, I produced those orange ones this last year that me and you talked about, and you said you produced them years ago too, and they're just some kind of pinstripe thing. They're freaking fluorescent orange, much like that retic you showed me earlier.
Sometimes the head's a little bit got a weird particular
but
shape.
Never lived, man. I had one that lived for this last one lived and it looked perfect.
You were gonna send me a picture, and so evidently it died.
Yeah, it lived for 10 days, perfect. Tongue flickered, the whole shot looked great, and then all of a sudden one day we opened up door, it's dead.
This butter, orangey, and then almost kind of shiny a little bit too.
They're so beautiful, and they got almost a purplish thing through. But
what's your question?
I just want everybody to know I'll interrupt them for like $50. I'm not gonna like every dollar ask a question. Come on, guys.
No, that's okay. Go ahead, man. Give everyone cred, man. Give them cred, man.
You really want me? Oh no, I'm gonna give them credit. Well, see, I got alerts up now. They weren't working in the beginning, but now the alerts are on the screen. But yeah, you guys can keep talking.
No,
but
it's great when people do
one thing. So hopefully,
it's great. We really do appreciate it.
There is a funny question that we need to ask.
Was it about all the chickens in the parking lot? Because that's
why
a question.
All these chickens at Nerds.
Somebody
paid $5
I have
for that.
I have pet chickens, folks. I have pet goats. I don't eat chickens because I try to be a cheating vegan. But I don't. They're just my pets. I just like them. Yeah. They're reptiles.
Are you really?
Well, I mean, I eat meat and chicken, but other than that, I'm vegan.
Nice.
Yeah. And eggs and fish. But
he's so clever, folks.
No. The truth is, I actually tried because of Kevin. He inspired me to try to be vegan, and I tell people, number one, I've got a really weird metabolism. Like I don't eat a lot, blah blah blah. But I went like 8 days as a vegan, and I liked it, by the way.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I remember
once you get going.
But what happened was I got the vegan crash. After like 8 days. I freaking literally. Woke up one day, I could barely freaking get out of bed, and I'm like huge.
Yeah, but really see, I think it's different. I actually think so. Basically, I learned when I tried to become a vegan. I didn't even know what I was doing. I just wanted to I went fishing in Canada and I was with my friends, and I'm like, you guys are all disgusting. You're meat eating slobs, and it grossed me out. So I came home and I'm like, I'm just gonna eat fruit and vegetables for a week because I feel so disgusting. Yeah. And I did that for a week, and I'm like,
I feel better.
I think I don't know if I necessarily felt much better. Mentally, it was like I was just disgusted.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I'm gonna give it another week, because I'm a control freak, so I want to put it out. So after about 2 weeks, I was like, I think I kind of feel different. But I think your whole crash could be a completely different thing because things happen. We go through. You get these microbes in your gut. You got 3.5 pounds of these microbes. You have more microbe DNA in you than you have DNA, and more cells, and it's ridiculous. But you create this microbiome, and if you eat shitty food, I can go into this whole big long thing where you don't have a gut of a carnivore. You're not an omnivore. You're a frugivore. You have the microbes that their favorite superfood is fruit, and you have a weak stomach acid, you have a long gut, you have your jaw, your teeth, everything is that of a frugivore. But when we eat all this crap food, we get these other microbes that are designed to eat the other things, and those things cannot make you feel well in a lot of different ways. We could go into a whole bit different thing, and I won't.
Yeah, the point is, I would have loved to. I like the idea of veganism, not because I love animals, you know what I mean? And I know we're hypocrites in the sense that we love animals and we feed animals off to other animals and stuff like that. And that's a tough thing. I think anyone that takes joy out of that shouldn't keep reptiles.
So one thing as a reptile keeper, I have a certain, I breed rats and stuff like that, and it weighs on me. Mm-hmm. It does. It actually bothers me. Yeah. And because I love rats, and there's some reptile keepers that just have no empathy. I have empathy for a friggin' ladybug. I love bugs. I love animals. I love these things. And if I'm this powerful creature that could smash things, and for me to actually get out of my way and do something kind for a little bug that's gonna fly off and 10 days later freeze to death or whatever. It's just what makes me who I am, because I'll literally be bothered by little things like that. And so you do the things with the rodents, but you have to have empathy and you have to have respect for them. Mm-hmm. And I try to have that balance. So I have chickens. Chickens serve no purpose here other than just our pets.
It's just pets, yeah.
And you give the eggs to monitors. So Donnie says we need to talk about YouTube.
Well, let's finish up that real quick. I just want to tell you, I stopped breeding rats years ago because I had more rats as pets than I did.
Oh, I have rats as pets.
I had 4 racks of pet rats and 1 rack of feeder rats, because I just kept keeping them because I was like, they're too cute, I can't feed this one off. So I literally had to stop breeding them because I would just keep them all, I was too, and I don't personally feed off live rodents. We do feed off live rodents, but I don't personally do it because I just can't. I just feel really
we
bad
use obviously a lot of frozen rodents, Rodent Pro,
most of our stuff,
and all that, and
Cafe.
But it's you get
sponsored by Rodent Pro, guys.
Yeah, but it's
Cafe.com.
But it's just you understand what I'm talking about. about. And before we talk about YouTube, I just want to interject that Brian and I, this is not going to be the only podcast you're going to get us on.
Yeah.
Because we have some plans to do, because Brian's the right guy for me to like riff with.
Are you gonna visit him? Are you gonna visit him, or are you gonna do it like over the internet?
Oh, you guys gotta do both. I mean, definitely.
Whatever. I'm dying to
visit
go to the
you, right? That'd be cool to come to a podcast.
So he's got his reptiles, you know, the Reptarium.
Yep.
And a bit of my dream, I'm gonna take you to a space up the street, which is 10,000 square foot. I want to show it to you.
Yep.
I need your input.
Yep.
I keep thinking about the Reptarium or something like that, which would be the same kind of thing as what you're doing.
Yeah.
But I need space, but I want to do venomous. But you know, my problem is my shoulders. I'm carrying so much weight on me right now, doing everything, and I need to have somebody else to do it with. I can't do it by myself.
Yeah,
or whatever.
It's something that I'm a big. Yeah,
Jeremy.
Your
hands. He's got his hands full of nerd.
Yeah,
that's true.
And I think delegation is super important.
It's beyond delegation. There's a lot of things. We have obviously there's a lot of bumps in that, but our plan is so. Brian and I are talking about this podcast, and we're going to do more. So we're going to talk about like a lot of old school stuff. We clearly have no problem with subject material, and we motor along. So please, if we're not getting all your things met, there's going to be some life to this.
There'll be some other stuff, and down in the comments and stuff like that, you guys can tell us what maybe down the road you want us to talk about. You got to remember.
Talk about YouTube and microscale.
Listen,
which one?
You guys are my bosses, both of you here. So like,
well, we need. So what was this YouTube? I got microscales.
All right, just wait for that. Hold on.
Okay, so yeah. So real quick, just want to say we've got over 800 viewers.
Yeah, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for tuning in.
But is that good?
I mean,
I don't know, guys.
But unfortunately, Tyler Nolan had like 2,300 in his, and he's wearing a nerd shirt. So I feel like 800 is in his.
You know, Tyler's wonderful. I like just Tyler because he loves animals.
Yeah, he seems like a cool dude, man.
No, he is. And it's like we did this little thing about, you know, like why I'm not free handling, you know, anymore and all this stuff. Tyler got bit by a cobra, and what I really like about him, he wasn't set off at all, like put off.
Yeah.
He was contacting me. He thought I was ghosting him because I didn't respond. And it was like, legit, Tyler, I can't handle all the messaging that I'm getting. And nor I'm sure can he, but he thought that like maybe I was ghosting him. No, dude, I never even saw the messages, so I felt really bad, and it felt like obnoxious that, you know, he would think that. But I've made friends with him, and he's really nice. He just loves animals, and I definitely talk with people like that. But he's just a nice guy, and he's like wearing nerd stuff, and
I've seen that a bunch.
We give him one shirt, and he wears it in 3 videos. It's great.
He doesn't ever wash, obviously.
Obviously.
No. So Tyler will come and meet the King Cobra.
Oh, cool.
So I think that would be really good because he loves King Cobras and stuff like that.
I'm going to get down to visit him. Hopefully this month. We were talking. You know, I don't know Kyler, just messaging back and forth. Super good guy. I actually was a fan of his on Ink Master, so it's going to be cool for me to meet him from a tattoo standpoint. And we've been just talking about hanging out, doing some animal stuff together. So I think it'll be really fun. Good dude. So it's good that you guys linked up, and obviously him just wearing.
And I'm so ignorant. I don't really know many of the YouTube personalities. So he's like one of my guys. I'll like, yes, Tyler or something like that. I'm like, I don't really know a lot of stuff because I'm so insignificant in
shaking
YouTube.
His head.
Well, dude, the reason he got to you is because he messaged me. It was like, why is he not responding to you? And he was buried in his DMs because he gets how many DMs a day from weirdos?
A lot.
A lot of them.
I don't know. And it's
so. Who's your favorite YouTube guy outside the animal world?
So I watch. Let's see. I watch Ants Canada. I like Ants.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
I like Ants. I used to watch.
You moved to like Thailand, right?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Damn.
Twins TV. And then Steven, he's a guitar player, Steven D or whatever. He's.
Did you ever watch that? What's that guy? The bass player dude. I think he does some guitar too. He's got like a massive following. He does like crazy bass riffs. Like every video he puts out gets like 1.2 million. He's like European.
You're my YouTube guy. Like you have all the YouTube stuff.
I hate that. I watch that guy all the time. I didn't know his name.
I'm generally sitting here watching like a lot of videos. I'm like into metal, so I'm sitting here watching like Megadeth, Old Testament, whatever. So what do you want to say about YouTube?
Well, I don't want to say anything. I'm glad you guys are talking about it. But like, question for you: how many Brian Barczyk videos do you watch? Do you watch all of his Barczyk videos?
All of everyone?
No, I don't watch all of them. But what I'll do is, he's popping up. He pops up in my feed and stuff like that. So I get a notification thing, and he's like,
"It's like a full-time job to watch my videos."
It is. Trust me, I do it.
So Prolificosaurus
Well,
rex.
you know, a Prolificosaurus. That's what I would be, a Prolificosaurus rex. You know, I think that, you know, my work, you know, I've always had this thing about, like, why I can succeed is I feel like I can outwork everybody. You know, like, I feel like my work ethic is so, like, when people are dying because they're tired, I will keep going. And it's not because I'm special or anything like that. I just have such a mental drive to probably run from my past, you know, and in my upbringing and stuff like that, where obviously I wasn't treated like I would ever amount to anything. So I'm, you know, you always are fighting that demon. But that's why, I mean, listen, you know, I started daily vlogging. Ironically enough, it was 3 years ago. This past Friday it was the day after Thanksgiving. And what happened was I had a video. Interesting enough, my two biggest videos. And the video that launched my vlog channel really to get rolling, but both my two biggest videos, I wasn't going to film. I wasn't going to film them. And the first one was my 19-foot snake escaped. And what happened was Lucy, my reticulated python, she was in a freedom breeder cage, and a drawer-type cage, and we just had it cracked.
Yeah,
like we didn't have it, like it just shifted. And what happened, I didn't realize that at the time because I'd never bred her. She ovulated and had slugs in her, so she was trying to get out to lay her eggs. You know, she was like you were saying, Roman, right?
Oh,
and she
God.
she freaking wedged in there, and she ended up scraping a big thing off her head. She's always an angry snake, and we found her up on top of a freedom breeder rack. And I wasn't going to film it. It was a Saturday. I had one worker there, and I'm like, let's just get her down. And he's like, you should probably film it. And I was like, all right, let's just get a GoPro camera. Let's get a couple other things. We'll just see what happens. And that video ended up getting like 1.5 million views in like a day. And it was the day before Thanksgiving. And we already had a video for Thanksgiving. And I just thought to myself, let's roll with this, you know, and so I was like, I'm going to just start daily vlogging because we're under momentum. And then like 3 days later, she laid a clutch of slugs, and so I pulled her clutch of slugs, now knowing why she was trying to escape so much. And that video got like 2 million views in 4 days. So I had like 2 videos pop within like a couple of days of one another. And I just thought, man, I'm going to just start daily vlogging until it runs out. And here we are 3 years later.
Yeah, I had the same kind of thing. I do these bubblegum videos, and I knew it was
Can we
really...
let them die? Like...
I knew it was really going to take off. Like, I posted a video, and within like a day I had like 13 views.
13 plus views.
Nice.
Yeah, and then I did learn how to socialize your monitor.
Only one dislike.
Dude, like, 17 views, but 24 dislikes. How does that work? How does that work?
Oh, it's YouTube. It happens. Trust me. It happens.
Are you aware? I don't know if people are watching. Kevin has his playlists are all screwed up from the last how many years he's doing it. I'm trying to categorize them now, but he has
playlists are important.
Super important. But he has a 3-year period that I just like don't want to do because if they're
just
all
stay
those
away.
videos, and let me tell you something, buddy. There are some videos there that make me laugh so hard. I don't think the people know about. So if you guys look out for the camera video,
710 videos on our channel.
Yes, you do. I'm gonna put all those videos into a playlist of all of his cell phone stuff, and I'm gonna compile them all together because I think some people laugh.
You could just like put like junk playlists.
I could do that,
Yeah,
But
like,
I have ones
look at
on
that.
monarch caterpillars and butterflies and chipmunk whispering.
Yeah, the chipmunk
and
one,
all my
I
timber
was
rattle.
a big fan of that one.
Did you see the one where I got him on the back?
I did.
He's so proud of it. He's so proud of it.
Dude, it took me two weeks to do some chipmunk whispering and get him where I can get him in my hand. Dude, just wonderful.
Pitch that to Animal Planet.
The chipmunk whisperer.
The chipmunk whisperer.
And another thing is, so you're very driven.
Yeah.
I'm very driven. I have a problem, like, I don't like to fail.
Yeah.
I got this really bad thing where I don't want to fail. So that I think that's like my drive.
Yeah, the drive is that way. Weirdly enough, like, I don't mind failing that much, to be honest with you. It's a weird thing. It's like, don't get me wrong, I want to win. You know what I mean? I'm like really competitive. But like, failing doesn't bother me because I feel like I tried. You know what I mean? Like, I'd be okay if I failed as long as I tried.
That's an interesting difference. So you're driven to succeed because you were never given the idea that you would ever amount to anything.
Right. Yep.
And I don't realize even when I do succeed, so I just don't want to fail. So I keep pushing.
Yeah,
so it's like a shark. And but I do remember going to reptile shows, and you set up your booth, and I was watching. You had like.
Yeah,
all
we
these,
did. It was like Kiss showed up.
It was
like boxes.
It was so impressive, and I freaking kind of hate this guy. And you know, so he's my competition, but he and I just were always talking and loved each other and all that stuff. Yeah. But I'd go there, And then you get like, I always have like the jealousy and the respect that I think it's actually kind of healthy. I went there and looked and I'm like, damn, he's got this, you got it dialed in.
Yeah.
You really did.
Well,
And that was, I remember like, all right, I have 6 cinnamon balls in here and 6 blast pastels and these Lori balls. And I'm like, damn. Then he's got all this pinstripes and you just seem like you had this endless amount.
Yeah, we were crushing it then, and that's the thing. One thing I always said that you know.
I just want to point out that Miguel went pretty hard in the paint, and he gave us $100 so we could shout out his name in our live stream.
Is that Miguel?
Yeah,
Miguel.
always
Always
that guy. He just like
Where's he at?
told
Is that always evolving?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, Miguel. Miguel,
$99.
can I know you someday?
Can we just?
Is it
yeah.
on or would we?
Miguel-
For 1 second, my battery.
They can still
I want to fly out there and drive a Volkswagen Bug or
Listen,
something.
like legitimately, you know, number one, Miguel, you're the man, dude. But you never donated $99 to my live stream, you fucker. No,
I think it's 100. Was it 100?
No. I'm just joking. Literally, I tell Kevin this all the time. Miguel is one of my favorite people. Kevin's one of my favorite
was
people.
just saying that.
No, I seriously
That's
say
a
it
fact.
all.
He
I
was,
say it all
yeah.
the time. I love
We forced
Miguel.
him to.
Yeah,
No, he was actually, before we were doing the YouTube thing, we were talking about you, Miguel. And I know that you have like a fancy car thing, like people can go rent fancy cars.
Yeah,
and
I
then
told him your whole thing.
the evolving trademark, so that's legit. So
now it's out there.
You got your $100 worth because I just told you some secrets.
Oh my gosh, there's some secrets out there, Miguel. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to share all of your secrets. I kept a couple.
He
of
was
secrets
talking
back,
about. He says you're doing really well on Instagram and YouTube. We were just talking. He was rubbing in my face because I'm insignificant.
Yeah.
But he was just saying how you're doing really well. Donnie, not
Can we just say that Overwhelming Python's only comments on our videos when Brian does, or is our live
No,
stream, or watches our stuff.
well, he doesn't like me. That's
So
fine.
Miguel's
I don't like you either, Miguel.
another $100.
He's
Another $100.
Shut the hell
Do we have to
up.
show
No.
nipples? Do we have to show nipples?
Johnny,
Come on.
can you tell Brian I said I like his long hair?
Really? That's what you spent $100 on? You
Yeah,
could've said
he's
something
silly
way
like
cooler
that.
than
Yeah.
that.
Go ahead, do it, Donnie. Say it to me.
I want you to talk about people on YouTube.
You have to
No,
say it
no,
with
no, you have to
$100.
Say,
No, I'm not
you
saying
have to say, dude.
What do you want me to say?
You have to say that. Okay, wait. I gotta go
Do we
back.
have
Jesus.
videos?
Hi, my
I'm
name's
multitasking.
Donnie. Jump right, you got a long hair.
I like your long hair. That's what you want. That's
Yeah.
what you want me to say.
You have to say that Miguel said, "I like your long hair."
This is
I think
stupid.
that I was telling you guys. No, I'm not going to say it. I was going to say something horrible about Miguel just joking around.
I think it'd be great because he wants attention
Yeah,
clearly
wants
because he just gave
attention,
money.
yeah. No, Miguel, we gotta get Miguel out here, dude. Seriously, Miguel would. He would love some. He probably hasn't seen so many of the ball pythons that you have that I know, and I've talked to him about the odium stuff and a couple other things. And I think Miguel's the guy to help. You know, he's got such a strong following, and people are really devoted to him. I mean,
Devout.
devout. So I think that you guys need to get together, and so Miguel, let's come out here, dude. I'll let you play with the King Cobra.
So,
the one thing we won't do is
Clint, we love
We
Clint.
got Clint coming this way. He's a rock
I
star.
haven't talked to Clint
See,
lately,
we
but
could- we
He's
probably-
so fun.
We probably
I
could
like
have had
Clint.
Miguel here already if he would answer his freaking DMs on.
Oh, he goes
Instagram.
to you? That's
shit,
weird.
He goes
No,
to
he'll talk to me for a good solid hour, and then that's
Well,
it.
that's
He gets
probably why.
distracted.
He's probably like, "Fuck, what is this guy?"
so
calling
we're
me
not
for an
doing
hour
video,
for?"
we're just doing
Yeah,
audio
exactly.
right
Battery died.
Exactly.
now. Okay,
Calm down.
sorry guys.
So
Take it over here.
okay, so I don't want to forget this because the jeweler guy asked.
Yeah.
Brian, he wants to hear some of your
Microscales.
views on the microscales. He wants to hear.
So I showed you
Yeah.
microscales.
I think they're horrible. No, I've said this from the beginning. Me and Kevin talk like Kevin and I talked about
Very
forever.
good.
I'm learning my grammar here. Kevin's
never
English
does that to me.
lessons.
It's so
I didn't know that Kevin.
You're
also,
beyond hope.
Kevin also his side gig is tutoring people on grammar. But Kevin and
No.
I have talked a long time about microscales and scaleless heads, and you know. I won't go into the story about how there's only one line of scaleless heads, but I won't get into that story. But there's definitely, microscales are definitely something different than scaleless heads. I mean, obviously, we work with scaleless heads from the beginning, and the microscales have things that scaleless heads never have, like missing scales outside the top of their head. I have
Lack
never,
of heat pits.
Yeah, lack of heat pits, the labial pits. You know, I've never worked with microscales. I've never worked with super microscales. I have no idea how they are, but I know that those are two different animals. Now, has anyone bred scaleless head to microscale yet?
Okay, so Bob Clark did it the first time. and he didn't get anything. So I was thinking, okay, maybe they're not compatible. So I said, as I knew, scaleless head and microscale are not compatible. Then he did it again, and he made a super scaleless. I mean, I would think that the scaleless head and the super microscale scaleless are pretty much, like the same. I don't think one's better than another or worse than the other. So I would now, equate that. But I've now made all my super micro scales and all that stuff. I've learned a lot about the supers this past year.
Okay.
So I literally I did like a kind of control group. So I needed I needed to learn about the super micros and their success, how they would do. So I set some up and I kept them like a normal ball python.
Okay.
I literally kept them exactly like a normal ball python, and I killed some.
Yeah.
I did, because so I was like, I'm not going to give you any special attention, and I had to do it so I could make an honest assessment of them.
Right.
So are you as hardy as a normal ball python? And the answer is absolutely no.
Yeah, it's kind of like a silky bearded dragon,
Okay, exactly.
Yeah.
So I noticed with some extra special attention, they do better. I think they're the most fragile when they're babies.
Okay.
And I think as they grow and they start getting more mass, they lose less moisture quickly.
Okay. Which makes sense.
We can go through all that stuff, but my microscale, collection is nice, and it makes just fantastic stuff. Now we're learning more stuff, but just letting them exist like a normal ball python would likely mean death.
Right.
So we're now. I've stopped doing that.
Yeah,
now we're catering to their needs.
Yeah, and I think that's the whole thing. You get back on? Yay!
One
Hey.
of your employees turned our light switch out there, and everything was plugged into when they were closing. They didn't know, but that's what happened, guys.
Sorry, guys.
Oh man,
I never planned for that.
That's rookie mistake.
Rookie mistake.
But is Jay listening to us?
Yeah. That's
Jay, what you doing, my man? But Miguel, I love you, by the way. If you're still listening.
Is Miguel not like he is in the I feel like he's
gay?
No. But I feel
I
like
thought you were saying like you love him.
he's feisty.
Yeah.
Is he as feisty like that in person, or is that a persona? Is that real?
He's a confident guy, right?
Yeah, that's the
he's
word.
confident,
I like that.
and he won't take shit from people,
right?
Which I love about him. He stands up for his friends. He stood up for me every single time. And yeah, he doesn't.
Does he know who I am?
Oh my gosh, of course he knows who you
right.
are. Everyone knows who you are. Yeah. And like I said, we've talked about you and your stuff before, so no, he's a good guy. I've said that I think that Miguel has the best kind of money-making business. Not just Miguel, but Miguel is one of the people that have done it.
I know what you grow, Miguel.
And
And it's not carrots.
it's not carrots. But so I think that Ozzy Boyd's, Mark Mandick, these guys, they have an interesting business model that I think really works. And I think Miguel, the thing I liked about Miguel really was that he bucked the trend for going negative on people, right? Like, he came in and was like everyone's friend and talked nice about everyone, and rather than destroying his competition, don't buy from them, he just showed hey, you can buy from anybody, but I also have some cool shit too.
But we kind of did that.
No, we did that for sure. I never bashed Kevin. Kevin never bashed me to try to get a sale. And speaking of that, remember back in Tinley Park, there was the big Chambers of Commerce guy or whatever the heck it was. You remember this dude? He came, he bought a bumblebee from you one year for $45.
Oh yeah, the guy with the black hair.
Yep,
kind of thin
hair.
guy.
And so what was happening is every year, me and Kevin would almost switch. One year he spent $40,000 with Kevin. The next year he spent $40,000 with me at Tinley. And it was always that was the friendly competition, right? It was oh fuck, the guy bought it from Kevin this year. My show just went down the tube. And he would walk in, you'd just be like, why is he looking at Kevin's table?
Oh yeah. No, I know exactly what you're talking about. And but if we didn't sell it, we wanted the other person to easily
I would
get
never,
it.
when he'd come over to my table, I'd never say don't buy that bumblebee from Kevin, it's bad. I'd always know it would just happen. If I got the sale this year, maybe he would get it next year or vice versa. And I think that's what Miguel did too. He was never that way. And I think that's a good thing.
But you have to have pretty good respect for somebody
Yeah.
like that, because you want them to succeed, and I've always had that.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, but listen, I want everyone to succeed, even people on
I don't.
YouTube. See, I'm that way. This is my thing. I don't think anyone's success or failure, outside my friends, of course, as a normal person, I don't know and I don't care about you as a person. If I don't care about your success or failure, does not dictate my success or failure at all. So if someone on YouTube is popping and doing great with reptiles, it doesn't mean that I'm doing worse It just means they're doing better.
There's some people I just don't like completely, and I just relish in their failure or whatever because
that's exactly why I work for you, man. Because I could never.
There's people hate me just the same way. But generally, if I dislike somebody, I'm like legitimately dislike you for a real reason.
Can you be fake? Are you capable of being fake to somebody because you have to be, or are you just like real with everybody?
Yeah, I have to. Like,
business
I have to.
Sometimes you gotta.
No.
He's interesting.
Sometimes I can. I curb what I'm saying inside, and I just like I have to, just certain situations. But then I can also be very real, and then like, wow, Kevin is like I can be really nasty or really severe and scathing, and that's usually where I've had enough, and that is when I don't have my control.
I can't be there. I mean, I'm like, as a matter of fact, I got a slightly perturbed with a crew member about a week ago, and they've been with me for years, and I think it was the first time that I ever slightly raised my voice. It wasn't yelling by any stretch, but I think it would shock them because they had never seen that side of me where it was a trigger moment, right? It was like something that was kind of bothering me. They triggered me, and I immediately said, all right, game on. We're talking about this right now. And they were a little bit surprised by it. But again, I just don't have that, like, that and like you talked about with Miguel being confident and not sticking. Like, I don't stick up for myself much because I just don't like to be confrontational ever. You know what I mean? I don't like confrontation. Oh man!
Everybody, Grant, Kevin's pet just came in, just offering drinks. I'll drink a beer. Can we talk about YouTube stuff? Because I feel like there's a lot of people, and I don't want to do this for too long. There's a lot of people in the YouTube community that would. Let's talk about snake discovery, okay?
Sure.
Snake discovery's her audience, her comment section.
Yeah.
They love to come to our videos because I've checked,
Sure.
and they love to say, "Hey, you guys should watch snake discovery." Blah blah blah. Have you ever thought to yourself that these people sometimes turn a blind eye to the way that snake discovery uses tubs? For instance, but I feel like those people don't want to know that or talk about that, and they love to come to us and complain about.
She absolutely buys rack systems from Freedom Breeder,
right? Because she's normal, but I'm just saying, do you think there's really nobody to represent that audience out there? She's kind of like the closest thing to it, so they turn a blind eye to it. Do you see what I'm saying there?
No, I do see what you're saying. I mean, I think that. Anthropomorphism is something that we...
Do we know what that means?
I have no idea what that means. Can somebody elaborate?
So it basically, when a human attaches a human emotion to an animal, right? So I always say about this, and it's going to get a little bit complicated for a second. What I mean is that people think if you have a rack but you put a plant in there, somehow it's okay. And I'm not saying it's not okay. If you do what makes you feel good. But in reality, that snake doesn't give a shit about your plant. You know what I mean? They don't care about your plant.
But destroy this plant.
But that being said, there's a flip side to this. Now, this flip side is that as content creators that are potentially reaching a larger audience, do we have a responsibility to show that we have that plant in there so people feel better about what we're doing, or do we not? That's a blurry area, right?
Yep.
Does a snake do better? No. In my opinion.
Do you think possibly...
For my gargoyle geckos.
Yeah, just so you know, guys, look, we put plants for stuff.
Rhacodactylus, there's plants. There's
do you think that these people wouldn't put those plants in their tubs if they weren't videoing it? Do you think there's any chance of that?
Well, it certainly makes it look good.
Yeah, but I think Emily would. I think she would be a person that would want to, because I think that's just her personality,
right.
and which is fine, because it makes. So this is the thing: if it makes you as a keeper feel better to put a plant in, do it. But don't think that it makes the snake happier, because it's just not a reality.
It could be a plant. It could be rolled up paper. It could be a piece of trash.
Yeah.
And
you could put a cereal box in there.
One thing is taking human-like needs and putting it on the animal that you're working with. So a great example of this would be what people do with dogs. Yep. So dogs are literally pack animals. They respect power and sometimes violence and all these different things. When it's in a dog pack, one dog biting the other dog on the mouth, turning it over, just doing all these different things. This classic dog pack mentality to basically get everything level. One dog challenges another one and shows that I'm an alpha, you're a beta, but you have this type of thing. But in a house situation where there's kids and there's dog food dishes, and you start treating them like, in some cases, like humans, you're taking a dog that potentially still is a predator. It's got canines, and it can bite and do this stuff. And you're doing these weird things, and you're not looking at a dog as being this pack animal and being like that. You can then take this wonderful German Shepherd, Doberman Pinscher, Rottweiler, and you can take a wonderful animal, because you've raised it wrong, you now have a biting situation or something bad where that animal has to get destroyed or whatever. It's because you failed as the keeper to look at that animal for what it is. Once you talk to a good dog trainer that really knows stuff, like our friend Chris Fraze, and he and I talk very well. He's like, you completely understand. And it's like, you need to look at them for what they are, even though they are domesticated, they're in our homes. And we're not talking about, little cute dog and I'm keeping in my purse. Yes, I wear a purse. So, but it's just, you can't do the same thing with the snakes. The snakes are unique to themselves. And I don't know if that plant would have the value as just anything. It could just offer the animal a place to hide, or
feels comfortable. But I will say, I think that there are when it comes to Emily, I think she's a good representation for the hobby, right?
Sure.
I think that if someone was going to be popular on YouTube for reptiles, I like her. Like, I think she's a good person. I think she has good knowledge. Mm-hmm. She's passionate. She educates. There are other animal people that are pretty popular that probably aren't a good example, So, like, I don't ever look at Emily and go, like, oh, I don't know why her videos are doing so well and mine aren't, or whatever the case is. I'm actually happy for her, because I think that she's what we need more of, at least from that thing. But, at the same time, it's not that she's a better keeper because she puts plants in her tubs, she's just a good educator. Right. And I think that's a good thing.
Dude, why doesn't she come visit you? Do you think she doesn't
Well, she came to the Reptarium, wants to come hang out with me. I don't know beyond that. I don't know.
I can feel like you guys would get together and you could have good videos together. You know?
Well, we've talked in the past, and we've always gotten along. I think we see eye to eye on almost everything. I don't think she's ever been a hater of mine or said anything negative.
She might be dislike. I don't think she likes me.
I think you're really shy, Kevin, and I think maybe she wasn't ready to be filmed. I don't know. I feel like she didn't want us to film.
I met her in Chicago.
Very nice.
I've watched her videos, and it was good content. And I think it's catering in many ways to, like, it's kid friendly.
Yeah, no,
and it's girls and stuff like that, which is all nice because it's she knows how to talk to them right and stuff. Like, I'm like some weirdo, I talk very particular.
No,
but I did meet her. She was nice. She got to play with cowrie ticks, bullets, pythons, and she never acknowledged that I existed in any, like, her videos that I saw. And I just think, like,
I think maybe she's afraid that her audience might be really upset if the spider bomb monster was, friends with her.
It's hard to say. Maybe she just wants to stay away from that type of stuff. It's, like I said, I reached out to Emily. The first conversation I think we had, she had like 40,000, 50,000 subs. So I liked her content when she was a very small channel.
And she blew
because
up.
I thought it was, and now she's doing great. So like I said, I still maintain the same, feel about the fact that, again, I'll go back to what I said. If I had to pick someone to be a big channel on YouTube about reptiles, she would be one of them.
She's a good representation. She's thoughtful.
She's thoughtful. She obviously cares about the animals. She doesn't go negative on people. Maybe she doesn't go positive on people either.
Yeah, she's very neutral.
Neutral. Which is fine. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. And she does educational shows like every day.
Yeah.
Like, not on YouTube, but like her job before YouTube was doing educational shows.
My heart died. I was like, everything just turned off.
Yeah, that's awful. But so I like that. That her heart was in the right place before she started, but I don't know. I mean, I know she's. I've talked to her before about some collaborations, and she just said she's just too busy.
She's a busy girl.
So, and that could be the case. I mean, I always tell people everyone's level of busyness is different, right? So, like, I look at some people and are like, oh my God, I haven't had a day off in 13 days, and they think they're so busy, and I say, well, I haven't had a day off in 1,300 days. So your busyness might be a little different than my busyness, but everyone has different levels of what they want to do. I'm willing to sacrifice constantly to achieve the things I want to achieve. Other people are like, I'm not going to give up my Sunday night, basket weaving or whatever it is. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to stop this event. I do bingo every Wednesday.
I do bubble baking.
Yeah, bubble baking. Yeah,
I blow bubbles every Sunday night.
Yeah, so like I flew out to LA to collaborate with Marshmallow, the DJ.
Stop bragging, jeez.
No,
it's so
I'm
cool.
What's a marshmallow?
Don't even get me started how he little knows about anything.
Marshmallows?
Yeah. So I mean, I literally flew out
That's
there.
That's not the guy that was born with a head that was a marshmallow, was it?
Yes, that is literally the guy. I'm
I
dead
can't.
serious.
And he actually, his parents must have really loved him, and they fostered him.
You were showing your age. Jesus Christ.
What?
You're showing your age.
They coddled him.
My point
Like,
is,
I don't know what marshmallow is, okay? Shut the hell up.
Sorry.
You shouldn't know him because he's only the most successful DJ on the planet. But,
yeah, you know.
But don't worry about that.
I'm clearly, he knows what he's doing.
But anyways, I flew out there, literally landed.
Did you see him without his marshmallow?
I did.
There you go.
I did see him without his marshmallow, but I was also sworn to secrecy, and I couldn't take pictures or anything.
Yeah.
No one's ever seen him. Well, I'm sure other people have too.
Is it like Buckethead?
It is. It really is like Bucket. He's got a bucket head with a
Buckethead shreds.
But anyways, my point is, I flew out
He
there.
does.
I was on the ground in LA for like 10 hours. I filmed the video with him, got on a plane, and flew back. A lot of people don't have that dedication to do something just to, for whatever. And what did I get out of it? Probably nothing much.
You had to talk about it on a podcast with Kevin McCurley, and he doesn't know who it is.
Look at man. It was actually the coolest part about. I mean, I enjoyed meeting Marshmallow. Don't get me wrong; he was a real nice guy. But I actually met Rhett and Link. They were in the place before I was. You guys know who Rhett and Link are?
Yeah.
You know who Rhett and Link are?
Right.
Yeah. So Good Mythical Morning.
So if I was a dinosaur right now, I'd be I don't know Rhett and Linkosaurus. Rex.
Good dad joke.
So anyways, I liked.
I'm not a dad.
I enjoyed meeting them for the first time because I've always been fans of them. They were really nice guys, by the way, and hopefully we'll do something with them in the future.
I just don't. I have so much time being spent on animals.
You really do. He works so much. He does jobs that nobody else would do. Like he doesn't act like he owns this place, guys.
Right.
He's dirty all the time. He's always working. Yeah, this is
so. There's two ways to look at that, right? One is, should someone that is valuable with their time be doing work that they could pay others to do? Okay. The other side of it is, if you love doing what you do, why would you pay someone to do what you love?
No. I'm doing stuff that I don't love doing, but I do it because I do it fast. I'm better at it than pretty much anybody.
Isn't that weird? It's weird, right?
It's a tough thing. And so you're the Lori. Lori has that mentality. I'll tell Lori, like, you need to have one of our crew do that. And she goes, I can do it quicker and better.
But I want them to do it, but then I just go, I have high
podcast in itself. This conversation.
I have like a high expectation. I want my animals taken well care of.
Sure.
And I want it. This, if I'm looking at a rack and there's 500 snakes, I want this one good. I want that one good, just like whatever. And I have an ability where I can walk into a room and I zero in on the bullshit.
Man, my crew hates that, dude. My crew hates it. I can walk in a room and find a rodent that wasn't taken out, you know, like a frozen rodent. I can find, there'll be 1,000 cages. I will find the one cage that has a frozen rodent that is in there from yesterday within 3 seconds.
And then your mind goes, all of them probably have this, and you're like, no. But
I will say this, I feel your pain. I'm fortunate to have an unbelievably wonderful crew right now. I've had them for quite some time. I'll do everything I can do to keep them. And they're just, Jeremy, you met them. I mean, they're great people. Mm-hmm. They really care about my animals. As a matter of fact, when people used to, and they still do, let's face it, bitch about how I don't keep my animals well. It was really degrading to my crew more than to me, right? Because they're the ones caring for my animals. Yeah, I'm overseeing things, but they're the ones daily grinding, cleaning, and they're dying. I mean, these people are like, okay, we work 8 to 4. Some of my employees will work till 9 o'clock at night because a job needs to get done. Not because I'm telling them to work, but they don't leave until it's done. Mm-hmm. And so when they see a comment like, oh, your animals aren't cared for, and they're like, my gosh, I literally sacrifice so much to make sure every animal has clean water and fresh and clean and stuff. It's like, it's a bummer to them.
That's a really interesting idea. So if you're successful to some degree and you're breeding these animals and you have employees, mm-hmm. and then somebody says you don't even take care of your animals, unless you literally mean that you're not in there cleaning. Because I have ball pythons right now. I haven't cleaned an adult ball python for probably weeks right now because I'm working on all this other stuff. But you have employees. Like, you have to depend on them. Yeah. And your standard is, I want all my cages clean. I want my animals well fed. I want my animals healthy. I want to make sure everything is right. That is your standard. That's your expectation.
Yeah.
When people fall short of that, and let's be realistic, I have 25 employees roughly. That's a lot of bricks in your building, and you're only as strong as your weakest brick.
No.
And you don't want your cages like that or anything. But of course that's to be blamed on you.
Well, it is a bummer. As a matter of fact, I've had this before where I've had employees that I've fired for not caring for my animals, and then they go out and say my animals are uncared for. And my thoughts were, well, okay, so you're complaining about you not doing your job. Because you're saying my animals aren't cared for, but I fired you because you weren't taking care of them. So is that my fault that you didn't do your job, and now you're blaming me that you didn't do your job? So it's a tough thing. There's a saying that says that the more successful you get, the less you do what made you successful, right?
I don't have that problem right now.
Right. I think it's
on
a
it
problem that you
from
need.
the very beginning.
I think it's a problem you need, though, because don't get me wrong. I tell my crew this all the time. I would love nothing more than to punch in at 8 o'clock and clean animals for 8 hours and not have to worry about anything else. Not worry about bills, not worry about social media, not worry about what's going on. Just go, these are my racks, and I have to clean these racks. I would love that, but that's not the world I live in.
See, I live in the world like I have to make sure my rodents are good and my snakes are good, and I have to worry about the social media, and I have to worry about all this different stuff. And I have to worry about, I always think outwardly. Right. I'm always trying to think like new projects, new directions,
yeah, you gotta be
how to stay
forward thinker,
relevant, how to produce those animals that are of my dreams, and to make it like so I don't have what everybody else has.
Right.
So I love my base stuff, but I need to constantly always bring in like it's like if I'm buying stock, I need to buy some aggressive stock.
Sure.
That's more chance, but maybe more, success and reward. So I'm always outwardly thinking like that, but it's generally live animal based, whereas you're like looking at different vlogs and like the podcast thing, and that won't be animal related and all that, because you're always expanding, and that's
that's the thing. I don't, cool. I mean, it's just a different philosophy. Like I used to have one vision in life, and that was to breed animals, and that's all I did for 25 years. That was my sole income. I didn't have any other secondary incomes, and I just realized that like I wanted that part of my life to be more of a hobby. The breeding part. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's still a big business. It's still, we still have lots of employees and lots of overhead and lots of other things. And so, what's that?
900 people.
Oh, yeah, nice.
I didn't know how to tell you guys my hands for some reason.
But I got to a point where I was like, I want to do other things too, and I wanted to expand out. And we talked about this before the podcast, that you can be interested. First off, anyone that knows me and hangs out with me knows I don't give a shit about money, right? Like I don't look at me. I mean, like I don't wear fancy jewelry. I've got a freaking 2009 truck, and people have been trying to get me to buy a new truck forever. I'm like, why the fuck do I need a new truck? I like my truck, and it gets me where I want to go. My point is, money doesn't mean anything to me, but that doesn't mean that I don't want to make money because I'm a good businessman. People get confused with the fact that, like, if you want to make money as a businessman, you can't love what you do. Obviously, I will always pick the animal's health and everything over money. And I wouldn't invest in animals that make no financial or fiduciary. There's no reasoning for me to have the animal if it wasn't for the fact that I just love it. I want them because I want them, not because I think I'm going to make money off them. But the fact is that I also want to be a successful business person. So I can do both. I can love my animals. I can work hard on my animals. I can take my animals and I never look. There's never a cage that I open up and think, this is X amount of dollars. I mean, I know what it's worth, but like I have, we have albino Nile monitors, we have the black Nile monitors, we have, albino alligators, we have, all this other stuff. I know they're valuable, but I don't treat them like they're money. I don't go like, oh, I treat this one better because this one's worth, but this one isn't worth as much. Everything, and in my crew, I tell it too, you treat my cheapest animal the same way as you treat my most expensive animal. So the money isn't an issue for me. It's the animal, it's the health. But at the same time, I want to be a successful businessman for me, my family, my future, all these other things. The average millionaire in the United States has 7 income streams. We run 6 businesses right now, 6 LLCs or corporations right now, 6. So I'm looking to hopefully actually add 1 or 2 more this coming year. But my point is that you can do that, and there's nothing wrong with that. But somehow people get this weird thing like Brian's just about the money.
You were about making the money on the spider balls.
Yeah,
that's what I heard from the YouTube channel.
Yeah,
yeah.
Because
Kevin too.
Right now I'm killing it with spider ball.
Yeah, well,
pythons.
yeah,
it's so worth it for me to produce spider.
That's why you don't stop.
Well, that's the thing that's funny is like when people say that, like he won't even stop breeding, because all he cares about the money. I'm like, how much money do you think I make on spider ball pythons? Like most of my spider ball pythons, I probably barely pay the bills to feed them.
But it's an ingredient that allows you to make these really cool animals.
Beautiful
but it's still like I watch your egg cutting videos and you're like, gosh golly, you're going through this and you're excited and all that.
Yeah.
And I get into my eggs a little differently than you do. But
yes. I want to talk about that before you guys talk forever on something else.
We got to go into something which is basically what bothers me. One thing that really bothers me, and one thing I was thinking is really important about these podcasts, to actually hear. So I think generally a lot of times my fans obviously like you and stuff like that, and your fans don't know I exist.
No, that's not true. They're starting to know. They're starting to know, and they'll continue to start know.
But like sometimes, so if I I kind of get like a little like upset when I get like this like I hear like something negative about you. So I'm like, okay, so like, well, if you support Brian, I don't support you or something like that. And I'm like, I don't really understand this. And like, is there like some other alternate person that I never like knew? And then I heard like he only cares about money. So the animals you pick up a thing, you pick up your Muller's chameleon, and you have this fake personality.
Oh yeah,
that's
crazy.
So it's fake. So you're just looking at this thing. This thing is just stupid lizard, and here it is.
And I just throw it back in the cage. Yeah, fuck this thing.
And then here's my this snake and all this. My giant retic. Here's my anaconda. Now we're gonna soak it. We're gonna get the dry shed off it. I do watch your video. So and all this different stuff. But so they're just saying that that's just like something you do for money. You actually don't care? I don't understand that. I don't understand that. Because when you and I are talking, we never talk about money. No. We're talking about animals. We're talking, I don't know what is making that noise. Some creature.
Let's stop the pod screen. Let's just go check it out.
Let's go see what we're doing.
What the hell is that? So, but you're so ingrained in animals, and then you have this business success, but it all comes back to animals. And
that's the thing, with the exception of a couple things that I run that aren't animal based. Everything I run is animal based. All my businesses, like I said, I have a couple businesses that I run that aren't, but that's because I'm interested in other things as well. But I don't have to go to BHB and be there from frickin' 8 in the morning till 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night. I do it 7 days a week. And I do it because I want to be there. I love those animals.
So you love to look at your animals in a nice cage that fits whatever, and the animal's happy and it makes you happy.
Oh my gosh.
So this is not like make-believe.
Oh man, I mean, anyone, see, this is what I always say that's so wild, Kevin, is like, the thing, and I've said this a million times and I'll say it again right now, I don't care about the hate anymore. I used to care a tremendous amount. I don't care anymore because I can't control it. It's their issue, not my issue. But like you said, like the things I read about myself are so contrary to my beliefs that it's like it can't be me. And I've said this before, like it's this weird thing, but I call it the Logan Paul effect. And I'm not saying I'm Logan Paul by any stretch because Logan's a freaking titan. But like he went from being the most loved guy to being the most hated guy because he found a dead body in the rain.
He's got stupid famous for putting it out there too.
Yeah, right.
What?
Well,
how do you not know that?
Suicide forest. Listen, what I'm saying. So he found a body in the suicide forest in Japan. He filmed it.
I know about this.
And so he. Prior to that, people loved him. Almost everyone loved him.
So they hate him because he found a dead body and he posted it.
And he posted it and kind of made fun of it a little bit in a whimsical way.
Like in the suffering of somebody else.
Oh my God, someone killed themselves and you're making fun of it or you're trying to make money off it or whatever the case is. My point was that like that was yes, what he did was horrible. And in all clarity, I'm friends with Logan, so I know Logan, the man, and he's a good person. But my point was that the overreaction to what he did, absolutely wrong, horrible, 100% horrible. But like the overreaction was crazy. Like now all of a sudden like people are like, you should die, Logan. You know what I mean? I wish you would kill yourself. That's a little overboard, right?
You know,
and that's kind of what happened with me is like for 25 years, like nobody said anything negative about me in the reptile business. Like everyone would be like, Brian's so great or whatever the case is. And maybe that was whatever, but then all of a sudden it went the other way and it became in vogue to hate me. And things like I don't love animals. I only care about animals. I'm a drug addict. I'm a this.
I didn't hear that one
Oh
yet.
yeah, I've heard that.
I'm the drug addict, right?
I've heard.
Clearly.
I've heard that.
I don't do meth.
Yeah, guys, come on. Stop calling him a meth
I don't
addict.
do drugs.
Yeah, definitely
Yeah, I don't-
stop leaving that comment.
Yeah, it's just exactly. But my point is that like anyone that met me and spent any amount of time with me couldn't believe 90% of what's said about me. It's from the hate side of things. But like I said, I think that you have to get to a point where you just don't care anymore. You just literally don't care about that type of stuff. If I want to remain, and I guess what I'm saying is that, and this goes back to the plants in the tubs, is that sometimes maybe it is right that we're held to a higher standard, and maybe I do need to start throwing plants in my tubs, not because I think that the snakes are going to do better, but because the image of what the snakes are doing are different.
I keep plants.
Is it fair? No, it's probably not fair, but that's just the reality, and I'm okay with it. I mean, the good outweighs the bad. If I have to get hated by X amount of people, that's fine. I mean, because I know the good I'm doing with people outweighs that.
I literally think it is. You came from the reptile breeder industry, and then you expanded into as like an entertainment aspect.
Mainstream, yeah.
And literally, the hate that you got from some of the people in our industry, I think, was if I breed an amazing animal, and let's say somebody else has the same species, and I'm making this amazing animal, and I'm getting attention, I literally will get hate.
Right.
We know this.
Yeah.
It's jealousy, ego, whatever.
Yeah.
Because of my success, and you get the haters. So I think the same thing kind of happens in your success. I mean, I can sit here and look at your success, and you just like blew up and stuff like that. And because you're my friend, and I have to be a big enough person, I can appreciate that without saying that, Brian is a drug addict or whatever, and I'm happy for you. But a lot of people, we have these people in our industry that are so
well, listen,
petty.
Let's call it what it is. I mean, let's say Sean Bradley was a perfect example. This was a guy that said for 18 years said that I was his mentor. I was his mentor, and then he spent 2 years. Well, first he spent a year trashing my name, saying the most horrible things about me, then apologized and said that he only said those things to get attention, and then went back to hating on me for another year after that, after he even admitted that the only reason he was saying those things was to get attention.
You're being controversial right now. I didn't think you'd even touch
No,
that.
it's really Sean really went mental on Brian, and I didn't really understand it.
And I'd never done anything to him. I'd never done.
I mean, you guys were buddies.
Yeah, we're buddies. As a matter of fact,
do you just want attention?
Yeah, and he said he blamed. This was an interesting thing that he said. He blamed. It seemed like he was mad at me that he bought a scaleless head ball python for $50,000, and then the market dropped. But he didn't buy it from me. He bought it from Mike Wilbanks. So, why am I responsible for his sale with another guy? As a matter of fact, as a friend, you would think he would have spent the $50,000 with me and not Mike, right? And not that I don't care about that. Good for Mike. He got the sale. No big deal. But, how am I responsible for his bad investment? You know what I mean? He didn't give me the money.
And I remember Sean was very vocal, so it was
he was bad. I mean, he was a horrible person to me. And here was a guy that, as a matter of fact, Lori, who is everyone knows Lori. She don't take no shit from anybody. I mean, when Sean finally said something negative, she said something negative about my daughter and my wife, and Lori literally told him she was going to fucking kill him. She's and he immediately apologized. But she wasn't going to take that. I'll sit there and take it, and I'll roll over on it. But and just let the chips fall where they may. And look at where the chips fall. He's pretty much out of the business.
He's doing fish, and so I'm still I'm friendly with Sean, and he sends me his corals and stuff, and it's giving him serenity, and he's doing some really nice stuff. Yeah, he's got it really dialed in.
Listen, I hope he does good, man. I never had, I've always loved Sean, and what he did to me was bullshit, and it was it's something that a friend should never do to another friend. But at the same time, that's his problem. It's his anger. It's his misery that caused him to do those things. And I feel bad for him. And I hope one day he can heal that.
It was interesting. As long as I've known you, I've never known, like, this is where you and I differ. Because I kind of, like, I'll tell you who I have problems with,
sure.
and I'll go mental.
Well, we're not talking about the podcast because don't you want us to talk about this?
Well, no, I'm doing a generalization right now.
I'm sorry.
And Brian somehow is able to rise above this, but I don't really hear you badmouth or you talk smack on people, and I'm more likely to, I'll be frustrated and I'll talk some smack or whatever. Yeah. But I give you. You're always been the lighter person. I'm always the darker person.
Sure.
And but you've remained that. And
in life and in ball pythons.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
No, but Brian, I mean, my honest version of you is you love the animals. The money and stuff like that comes secondary, and obviously bonus, I'm not a money person at all. So all my money I ever make goes right back into the animals, and I want to put the money back into keeping my animals better, and I want to just I know exactly what you're talking about. You just when you have an animal in this nice situation, you're like, God, I love this, and it makes you feel good.
Yeah,
and that is so important.
And that's the addiction. That's why I'm right now gearing up to spend about $160,000, $170,000 on an expansion for the Reptarium. Not because it makes financial sense, because I am addicted to making those habitats for those animals and seeing, and not just making the habitats, but also the behavioral side.
Yeah,
I'll be honest. Behavioral to me is what I'm like. You've been into it forever. I'll be honest with you, and I tell people, I always call it the way it is, man. My behavioral, part of keeping reptiles prior to the last 2 years was reading them to breed them, right? Not reading them to interact with them any more than the breeding side of things. Not that I love my animals, but it's like my sense of being able to read an animal and the behavior side was so that I could be the most successful at breeding them. Now, the last 2 years, I want to interact and have a relationship with them. And that's something that has enlightened me beyond belief. So, I have these amazing relationships with my rhino iguana. And I'm telling you what, dude, I may be one of those crazy, people that are putting human emotion on an animal. But I'm telling you, my girl Bella, my rhino iguana, she will come to me and not come to other people.
No, but that's not human emotions. What you're doing is, I always preach about the intellect of these animals and your water monitor I sent you, how quickly they can assess. They see something and they immediately change their behavior according to that. How can that reptile, cold-blooded mind, do that so quickly and be so acute?
It's unbelievable.
And I think a lot of my prowess as far as understanding animal behavior, it's not about reading or looking at anything. It was about me studying animals, started with bugs. Literally started looking at bugs and fascinated because bugs are endless and all these incredible things that they can achieve. And then looking at these animals, and it's just like you see this little bit of magic. And I'm kind of like a loner, so I would zero in something like that, and I need things to quiet my brain down. And I suffer from chronic depression and stuff, so I would lose myself in these animals and revel in that. And what you're doing right now with your rhino iguana and the water monitors, all the different stuff like that. And now the snakes and their mindsets, you're doing stuff that I've been doing for.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It's crazy because I used to come here and see you do it, and I always appreciate it, but I didn't have that same relationship with the animals. And now it's crazy and it's really addictive. And we're just. I mean,
open your mind.
We had this. So Bruce, one of the guys that works for me, who Jeremy met, and good guy and really good trainer. He worked with dogs and stuff like that. So but he took this Nile monitor. It was my night Nile, so the melanistic Nile monitor, big female, legitimately would want to kill you. I mean, you would open up the cage, she would run with her mouth open. If you tried to touch her on her tail, she'd whip you, she'd swing around. And we're talking a big Nile monitor, right? And within 3 months, he took that animal from being that to being puppy dog tame.
Yeah.
I'm talking you can pet her on her head and kiss her on her mouth if you wanted to. Yeah. In 3 months, just by building a relationship with her, a trust with her, and making sure, the first thing we had to do was break her feed response.
Hopefully you watch some of my videos.
It was definitely your videos, Kevin.
Well,
I'm telling you.
Kevin, I know Bruce I've obviously seen what you've done and watched your stuff, but he also watches as well. And we did some things where we always talk about, right, I mean, we use your feed mode, defensive mode.
I actually saw you in a video talking a bit about the modes, and that's wonderful.
I always give credit to you when we talk about those 3 modes. And so we took away the feed mode by target training her.
Yeah.
So now that she's target trained, she knows if she doesn't see the target, she's not food. So when we open the cage, she doesn't think food. Then we took away the defensive mode, right? We had to get her to where she knew she wasn't going to get hurt, she wasn't going to get grabbed, she wasn't going to get restrained. We're going to trust her. Now she turned into intelligence mode. Now when we open that cage, she perks up. What are you guys doing? Is there a ball? Am I going to get fed? Okay, there's not. Let's come out and play.
I love that. See I just love that.
Yeah,
just hearing about that because.
And it's addictive, I mean, to see that is addictive as heck. And like Elvis, my big water monitor I got from you guys. As a matter of fact, Jay was talking about we should do this. I don't know we'll do this on this trip. But, we have a lot of animals at the Reptarium that are from here. I mean, we have a lot of them. And we talked about, doing all the parentings of what we did. We saw Perdita, my cow retic's mom today. But the point is that, we're addicted to the interaction. Elvis is unbelievable. I mean, that animal is... If you don't, you could. He knows. So he spends about an hour or 2 a day walking around the Reptarium, just loose.
Does he put himself away ever?
He does, yeah, but not very often because he likes to hang out. He loves to hang out. He'll walk around a lot, but he will put himself away from time to time.
Has he ever visited your tortoises?
Oh my gosh, he loves the tortoises.
He is great with tortoises.
He loves.
He learned here going in the cave.
Every single day, if I leave him out long enough, he will end up in the tortoise pen every day.
Yeah, they love tortoises. But, what do you say?
I just want to say, Miguel's donated a total of $300, but he bought me a sex doll. He's getting me the best sex doll ever. So thank you, Miguel, for buying me a sex doll.
Thanks a lot, Miguel. Don't
Wow.
worry about us.
It's great.
There.
Yeah.
No, I'm just fucking.
Damn. Does that mean you're not going to work anymore? Or you can be.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like I have a sex doll and I don't need to work anymore.
Miguel, we got to get you out here, bro.
Is it the sound before you have sex with it go?
I could get a real doll for $2,000. So if Miguel wants to give me a real doll, you can donate $2,000 and we'll definitely let you come down. But I think till then, we should hold off the King Cobra.
He said he's going to show up unannounced. I told him we'll keep him down in the pet store.
Hell yes.
Gosh, yeah, jeez.
Yep. So
Miguel, don't worry, man. I know how to get in the back.
Does it appear like people are liking this kind of podcast?
I mean, I don't know. I think they do.
57.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we should talk about Gur Herping because our audience would love that. Do you love Gur Herping? Do you watch Gur Herping?
I'm going to let you guys.
Hold on. All I want to say is,
I'm going to stay away from.
Do you guys think that maybe that Gur Herping is just trolling you guys and he really doesn't care about the spider ball that much? Do you think maybe it's just a little bit overhyped?
First of all, it's actually inaccurate.
It's inaccurate.
First of all, holding snakes upside down and doing all this and playing, or not, he didn't do this, but other people, and taking rescue animals, it is completely out of context because I produce spider balls, and what you're putting on that snake is way over the top. You're picking and choosing your narrative to make it look like whatever, and that's what he did. And sorry, my level of knowledge and understanding reptiles, is way up here.
You're making medical videos now, though.
I don't care. Whatever. And you know what? I would have more respect for him. I reached out to him and tried to contact him. He snubbed me.
Well, obviously.
Okay, and I know he saw my thing, so that's fine.
It's like, man.
Dude, I have nothing really against it. I could probably talk to him and actually enjoy him and be friends and stop having a little bit of this little malice that I have right this second.
Yeah.
But it's a different level. It really is. There's nothing that Go Herping, his level of expertise compared to this guy is...
Well, according to... it's
not real. It's not real. It is everything that I know.
Are you telling me a 19-year-old that can't know everything about reptiles?
Well, isn't there some smart 19-year-olds, and I don't know him anyway, at all. I've never watched one video of his, honestly, even though and there's multiple hate
videos. You didn't watch his hate videos? Do you watch any of your hate videos, kid?
No, honestly? I don't watch
them. Hold on. Wait. They'd make you laugh, because, I love them, because they're this is crazy.
There's no, to me, there's no value in, for me, there's no value in me watching somebody say 99% of what they say is false about me. There's no value to me. You know what I mean? To sit there and watch some guy spews things that I know are completely false, and knowing that their audience is never going to believe that I'm right. They're going to believe what they say. That's the interesting thing about social media, and in particular successful social media. When people follow somebody, they could say anything and they'll just believe it. And I don't want to get political, the Trump factor, right?
Yep.
Like Trump can say anything and the real hardcore Trump people will believe everything
But that's that whole
he says.
human tribe. You pick a tribe and then you mindlessly follow it.
There's tribes definitely in the animal community, for sure.
So there's no reason for me to watch, number one. There's no reason for me to comment. And there's no reason for me to like, there's no benefit for me to try to make amends on anything. Like, it doesn't matter.
I made the mistake when we were doing that go herping thing and the spider ball thing. I made a mistake of thinking I could actually reason with somebody and actually. And
we all tried to tell them not to.
So when I start reasoning, and if I ask questions and I'm talking to some of the people who support him, and I'm like trying to like debate, and they won't answer questions, and they do all this stuff, and all of a sudden I realize, wow, you guys are just like, it's this poke, poke, poke. It has nothing to do with what, if I can articulate a good response, if I can challenge something and give. I have a lot of information in my head, and I can back up a lot of stuff. So I'm good enough. My knowledge is good enough to articulate our arguments for U.S. ARC to fight the government and do all this different stuff and fight legislation. But my argument is not good enough to say that I wouldn't even understand like the plight of a spider ball or anything, that these animals, we should start picking out raptors and apter leopard geckos because they're blind, and albino blue tegus and all this different stuff. Should make them so you shouldn't breed them, you shouldn't sell them, and all this different stuff. So it's really ridiculous. It's really ridiculous. Thank you. Thank you, Barbara. It's very ridiculous to even argue with me, because it's not even real. It's not even a real argument. It's nothing. There's no logic.
Well, they're not
any of those. When I tried to like talk to his people, and they're like, "You're an angry old man" or something like that, or just all these.
You tried to talk to Go Herping's audience, like seriously?
But I didn't know any better. I had no.
Remember me telling you, don't fight. Don't
fight.
We begged him
so much.
Because you couldn't.
But I was actually. But I watched some of his videos, and I'm like, hey, this kid seems nice.
He loves animals. I won't doubt it.
And I love that. You know what? I watched his toad videos and blue tongue skink videos. I actually watched some of it, and I'm like, hey, I can talk to this guy. And then he wouldn't even talk to me. And then it's like, okay. And I remember a while ago going back and looking to see if he ever answered my thing. Just completely
Don't tell
dead.
people that on the internet, too, that you actually read those comments.
No, I didn't know. I looked to see. I sent him a comment on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Said, hey, if you want, and whatever, talk. He never did. So obviously, I have no value to him.
Yep.
And that's fine. And he's doing great and all that, and I'm over it. But my problem is me trying to like argue and actually think I could actually change.
Yeah.
Because you cannot change.
No.
It's in that tribe, and
Yeah,
they are really missing the boat though, as far as people that know a lot of stuff.
Well, that's the thing. It's like it's sad to me that anybody that has that audience couldn't say like, okay, maybe I don't agree with one little thing, but Brian or Kevin bring a vast amount of knowledge in other areas that could be good for my audience. And instead they say, don't listen to anything those guys say because they're just old men that don't know anything.
And they always have like this underlying thing. It's like, you're greedy, you just want to make money. That is always, that's the classic nonsense.
You're a big breeder
thing.
You're a big
breeder.
Hold on, you guys are the end. Hold on, to the younger audience, you already know, because I feel like you've definitely talked about in your videos. Kevin, you are like enemy number one to the younger audience on YouTube, unfortunately. You really are. And it sucks because they don't know who you really are.
You guys are really missing exactly what I am. Because I am the most extreme hobbyist you could ever meet. I'm the biggest animal lover you could ever meet. And if you don't get that, there's nothing I'm going to say, because those are the people that you just can't change their mindset.
No, you can't change their mind. But like I said, it's a bummer because whoever's audience, whatever the person's audience is, that audience can benefit from the knowledge that you have, that I have, and they're wasting all that knowledge because it's better to make an enemy, number one, and really most of the time the enemy is being made for for views.
Okay, I'll tell you something.
Yes,
So,
I think he did it for
Yeah.
clout, and I think he attacked you for clout, and I think if he was bigger, he would have attacked Kevin.
you want a great example of how much I love animals? Guess what I did before Brian came here today, after I was snow plowing and running my tractor and all that. My guy Michael told me there's this pond near a Target store that it was all these wetlands and there's water turtles and there's all these different fish in there. And they Target, or it's like a fire pond, but it's a fire marsh, got drained. They drained it and all the fish are dying.
Oh my God.
And they're all, there's snow here. So he's telling me all these fish are dying. Like the water is gone. And there's all these like fish. And he goes, yesterday, he goes, you know what I did? He goes, I moved like 600 fish from this thing into the river. And I'm like, okay, so right now you're working here. He's on the clock.
He's your fish guy. Let's just say
he's my fish guy in the fish room. And he's telling me about that. And I'm like, well, I could go over and set up my misting system for my basins because I just got my new pumps. But I'm like, how far is this place? I'm like, go get bins, go get nets. We're gonna go over there.
That's a video, Kevin. Just
Dude,
so you know,
it's there, and it's like, so I went over there, drove over there in the snow in my van that gets stuck on snowflakes.
Yep.
And we went in there and we started scooping the fish out of this. We put them in bins, and we took them here so we could save the fish.
Did you record this to make a video or anything?
I have all the fish.
But it's funny because you didn't think to even video it. But I think your average YouTuber would be like, "This is an opportunity."
Well, I can do it because it's going to need more attention tomorrow.
But you didn't tell
I did
me
this
even.
Before Brian. Yeah, I didn't because I love animals. Because it bothered me to think these fish are dying, and they are dying. They're like, they're running. So they're going into this culvert, and they're running into this wetland, and it's very shallow. And then they're just going out there, and they're freezing, and there's like blue herons there and stuff. And I felt bad, but it bothered me.
Well, that's the weird thing, right? Like, I mean, I don't think so common sense isn't in this argument, right? Like, me and you wouldn't be doing this at our age if we didn't love it, right? I mean, we would move on, man. I mean, and you can't not take care of animals and be successful for 30 plus years. You can't. It's impossible. If you didn't take care of your animals, you'd be gone before 30 years, right? And I think that our care.
A lot of people in our industry are gone.
Most guys that were around back in the day when we were starting are gone. Most of them. Most of them.
They're
gone.
literally gone.
Yeah, most of them are gone. Very few have made it beyond the time we've been in this, and I mean, obviously, I'm in a position where I could walk away from so much of what I do, just say I'm done. Why would I want to do that?
Dude, I could literally retire now.
Yeah.
I literally could liquidate this.
But we wouldn't have jobs. What would you?
No, we wouldn't.
And
And my life would be a lot easier.
Oh
yeah,
no!
But the reason we don't is because we love what we're doing. Again, one of my favorite sayings Eugene Bissett said, down in Ophiological Services, he said, "Our fruits." Eugene's great.
Finally.
Said the fruits of our labor are labor. And I think that's so true. The reason we do this is so that we can continue to do it. If we wanted to get rich and we want to do other things, we do. That's why I do a couple things that don't have to do with animals to make money. To build wealth towards the future, so I can usually buy animals. That's the funny thing is that I'll usually make money on this side, and then I'll go buy an animal that I don't need, but I want because I love it, and that's it's really weird how anyone could make. I mean, certainly I'm a bigger enemy than you, but people that make you an enemy, it just doesn't make sense. It literally doesn't make sense. But this is what I think too, and maybe I'm wrong. What you named the young YouTuber, where will they be 30 years from now? Will they still be doing animals? Will they have dedicated their life? It sounds great now when you're 18, 19, 20. But when you're 40 and 50, are you going to still love it as much?
How do you keep reinventing yourself?
I want to know what it's going to look like in 30 years.
It's like, how do you keep how do you...
I believe you have to reinvent yourself.
You have to keep doing it. So he might go through this whole evolution right now. He's a YouTube...
He's a vet now. We're going to make... Guys, by the way, I'm making a video right now. I'm putting it all together. I'm going to be taking segments, and I'm going to have Kevin, just look at some of Go Herping's videos, maybe give you some input from his videos, because I think Kevin is going to have an interesting take on the way that he has been explaining. That
Brian, did you ever see what we did to the Reptile channel?
Yeah. Wait, whoa, hold on.
Yeah.
Can I... Real talk.
Yeah.
Why... I know you don't like controversy.
Yeah.
That is such an easy channel to
He's
to
known about me
vilify.
hating them
Hold
for
on.
years.
I know, but like,
yeah, for me, it's like, listen, just like the go herping thing, you know, like I would love nothing more than to not be in. Listen, first off, I'm not in a tiff with him. He's in a tiff with me.
Right.
I
right.
don't
could
want
care
to
less.
be.
I get it.
I don't want to be a jerk about this, but I don't care
Right.
about.
You know, a lot of people care though.
don't care.
That I think it's interesting. You know.
Yeah, whatever. I just, to me, it's like, you know, his success or failure doesn't predicate my success or failure, so I don't care about him. It'd be smarter for us to be on the same team, but I don't care. I can go on my own way without any problem. When it comes to, you know, obviously there's a lot of things that disturb me. Obviously, the Reptile channel is a you know, does some. We talked about live feeding and the fact that I don't like to. And
They
they
glorify
obviously
it,
have
though.
some big things. But to me,
They're gross. They're sick.
to me, like you know, everyone has to live in their lane, right? And my lane is stay positive. Look at the positive things. Don't dwell on negatives. Don't dwell on what's wrong with every single thing, but to move on. And that doesn't mean that you can't do that and you're wrong. If you know, I think it's a great thing that people go after certain things. For me, it's just not part of my life, you know. So like I continue to push this you know, my agenda, which is is pizza. My agenda is pizza.
God damn it.
That's my agenda.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Love you guys.
You know, my agenda is to always like. Okay, so let me.
You just want to eat on mic now?
Yeah. Let me give you an example. I did a deal right around the time that I was downsizing BHB, and it was a pretty massive change in life, right? 20-something years, all of my only income ever came from BHB Reptiles. I decided that I was going to reinvent myself, go in a different direction, downsize, go, you know, do things really differently. It was very scary, and these one customers wanted to spend $127,000 with me because they were like, we want these animals and we think this is going to go good to your future, right? They got the animals and they didn't pay me a dime. Okay. Now I have receipts, I have emails, I have text messages. I could sue them. I could get my money back. This was the thing. I'm going to sue them. Am I going to win? 100% I'm going to win. But it's going to take 2 years. It's going to cost me $30,000, $40,000 in attorney fees. I'm going to settle for $60,000 because you never get the full amount back, right? You know. So what did I end up coming out with? My point of what I'm trying to tell you, I could mar myself in negativity for 2 years to go after something, or I could just walk away from the $127,000 and just say, I'll make it up somewhere else.
Yeah.
That's
So
hard to do.
It's hard to do, but that's my philosophy in life. Is that I would rather not dwell on every negative thing and so on like that. I want to just look towards the positive.
And I know some stuff that he's not talking about Brian.
Oh, there's some
and that
bad
is
things.
literally, he is so A1 on point because he has taken it on the channel. I've taken it on the channel some serious stuff, but I'm more confrontational. He has been abused.
It's
biggest-
harder to
yeah.
keep it together, I
some of
feel
my
like, than
biggest-
to...
You know, some of the people that spread the most rumors about me were people that.
Oh,
that,
yes.
That, I mean, hit
Really?
me really hard.
Do you think the ones that are... Okay, so people that screwed you over are the ones also...
Yeah, they're the ones that spread stuff, but that's okay. Again, I don't dwell on that stuff.
These
really
are significant things.
I
Like
can't-
significant things
we're
that make you
talking-
kind of go into the loony
It's
bin.
yin and yang
'Cause I
right
had,
here.
I had
No,
to, no, I'm,
yes.
it's,
No, we're
it
talking
actually
about-
bothers me immensely that he had people. I had people change my hats that worked for me,
Yeah.
and
There's a lot of
like somebody
yeah.
you trust,
Yep.
and they change your hats, and then when you're breeding stuff, things aren't right, and then it ruins entire projects. He's had the exact same thing. He's had animals stolen, get in the hands of the wrong other people, and then they come with some fantastic story. They undermine the whole project. They do these things. These are things that keep you awake at night. And these are things like
Well, it's
I'm
one
just
thing-
getting
yeah.
Gives you guys
upset
trust
just thinking
issues,
about
right?
it.
Like,
This is
Well,
unbelievable.
this is the weird thing about me is I still trust everyone, you know, because I
Why?
won't let,
Why would you do
because
that?
I don't let the, so, you know, and that's why I have Lori maybe, you know, because I
What are you
can't
trying to
let
say?
like bad things from the past change my perception of the future. I can't. I know that's wrong, and some people, you didn't
And
learn from your mistakes.
that is
you know?
amazing, dude, and I give you
No, I
major
can't. Like I can't look at
credit.
like I don't go into any deal thinking I'm going to get screwed. because I don't, even though I've been screwed, I'll give you a number. And I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I did an adding of what I got screwed. Now, I'm not talking about what I potentially just got screwed in the last 10 years. $780,000.
Oh my God.
$780,000.
Kevin, what would you do? Would you lose it? You're just like...
I've already been screwed probably that
All right,
amount.
well, sorry. Okay.
I'm mental. Look at me.
All right, sorry.
But the point is that, I remember a really successful guy once told me, he said, I've made millions and millions of dollars, and I've lost millions and millions of dollars. He goes, you know what I do when I lose $1 million? And by the way, he was the one that advised me not to sue these people. He said, you know what I do when I lose $1 million?
Make another $1 million.
I go make another $1 million. He said, I don't
That
dwell
was
on
me.
my
I
loss.
told him that.
Yeah, I told him that, yeah. You do it. And it's really true. So my point is that, I don't
I'm
dwell
clever.
on those things. And like, you brought up some names tonight of people I just don't think about. I just don't care.
I give you credit for that, and I'm sorry that I'm putting you in that position.
No, it doesn't bother me. It's not. I'm not afraid to talk about it.
You're the
but I'm
biggest
just
guy,
saying,
though,
like,
so, you're the guy to ask about this stuff.
Yeah, well, like I said, it doesn't matter to me what, obviously, in a perfect world, you want everyone to like you.
Right.
In a perfect world, you want to be, whatever. And listen,
That's not a world I want to live in.
Yeah. Listen.
Who said that?
Probably the thing that is the most, see, this is the problem when you
Obsessive compulsiveness. How
Yeah,
about
yeah.
that? How
Yeah.
long?
He's got to check his
tolerate
TikToks,
that.
dude. This guy's got a
dude.
TikTok following.
No, I have obsessive compulsive. I need to line things on the edge of a table. It can't be crooked. I have to fix it.
Yeah, that's what I just did with
It
the phone.
is,
Like it was
it
driving me
is.
crazy.
It's true.
But like
Bad.
it's tough because when you start talking honestly,
But you like dirty snake cages. But
love
you
dirty
can't handle
snake
your phone being
and
crooked.
empty water dishes. But I think that when you start talking honestly about things, then people start to go, oh, he's either crybaby or he's just bitter. I don't
yeah,
even know
you're
what it is.
crybaby.
But like one of the things, it's obviously a bummer that we meet Kevin, I.
There you go. Get that
Kevin, I, and a host of other people.
I tell you about that. There's plenty more of those.
Kevin
smacks.
McCurley just hit Brian Barczyk, guys.
He just cried, oh, I'm sorry.
Well, now he's
Call
done
my
it like
attorney. Let me
7
call my
times.
attorney. Let me call my attorney.
I gotta do some negative
I'm emotional.
reinforcement.
I heard a story earlier today about you
God.
getting sued. So and now I know
Yeah.
your insurance company will roll over quick. So
Please don't do that on the podcast.
Can I interrupt for a second?
Oh, yeah, this is a big deal.
Definitely just want to give a huge shout out to One Soft Kiss Carla
Carla's
on YouTube
awesome.
who donated
Yes.
$200.
get the heck out of
Technically
here, Carla.
$220.
Carla,
Thank
you're
you
amazing.
very much.
You're
Yeah.
amazing. She's been an amazing person. I've known her for 15 years. She's a
She's
wonderful,
great.
wonderful person, and I'm glad that she's donating. But anyways, my point, what I was trying to get at is that it sucks like you can't believe to be a part of the birth of an industry, right? We were in it when nobody bred reptiles for a living, and we were part of the reason it became what it was. Part of, not all. There were lots of players in the thing, but we all had a role in that. And it's really hard that I had to kind of make the decision to just no longer be a part of the community. You know what I mean? Because it wasn't. I had to walk away.
And this actually affected me when I was talking to Brian and he. I remember he went through this period of time where his social media got destroyed, his Facebook, and I couldn't get over the level of cruelty and malice that was directed towards him. And I remember him coming here, and you were like, I think you had lost your phone or something like that right when it happened, and it was really rough because it felt like the whole world was turning on you, and you didn't know where it was coming from and all that, and it bothered me because I watched him and he was in distress, and it really turned me off how nasty my industry was towards you. And I didn't understand it because I never saw any of that, and I give you a lot of credit because you were really strong. But it bothered me, and it still bothers me because I don't think it was fair.
Well,
a lot of it.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, some's fair. I mean, there's always criticism that is you got to be able to take that criticism. But I think that I think that. That's the part that I guess I always had this fantasy in my head that one day it would turn around and I would be welcomed back into the community, and I would be, sitting at the auction at Tinley Park, and everyone would be like, Brian's back, yay. And I kind of think that I realized, honestly, and it was a hard thing to come to the realization that it probably isn't going to happen. You know what I mean? It's just probably not going to happen. And yeah, are there going to be people that would be excited to see me at Tinley Park? But there would also be other people that would be whispering behind my back about, what a bad person I am, or how I'm an asshole, or how I shouldn't be there. And it's so, for me as a person, it just was the right decision for me to make, to walk away from it and just say, you know what, I love the reptile community. I'll always support the reptile community. I'll always support the reptile hobby. But I'm not going to actively be involved in that world anymore. And that's hard when you've spent 30 years of your life.
You developed this mindset over time, though.
Have you said officially that you're never going to go back to Tinley Park again?
I don't see myself ever going back. I don't see myself ever going back to any reptile show in the United States.
That's sad, dude. Because I know you probably want to go.
Well, it's a tough thing. Do I want to go? Yes and no. Part of me wants to go because I really enjoyed seeing the animals and the variety and being able to buy stuff that maybe I did, I saw some pictures of a few things there, like Australian frill dragons and stuff like that I was like, oh man, if I was there I would have bought those. You miss that, and you certainly miss hanging around your friends, the people that did stick up for you in there. But overall,
our friend Hannah got one of those. She got it in the auction at King Eye.
Oh my God, King Eye are so beautiful.
So we'll see what that.
But I think
what
that
happens.
I think that just know, dude, it's a weird feeling to know that people, when you're walking by, some people are excited, other people are like, oh, what an asshole, why is he here? And like, I'm just not that person, you know what I mean? Like, I don't understand that. So to me, it's just better to just go, like, I'm just going to not go there.
Yeah, why would you want to go to something, even if, like, it's based on dribble or nonsense, where there's, you could, like, it's, if you have a big swimming pool, and I know somebody maybe just peed in it, you'll see all these people go running out of it, and it's like, do you realize that the volume of pee that's in that pool is like nothing? There's a place in like Oregon or Washington where they got on video, some guy pees in a public water supply.
Yeah?
Pees. They like peeing next to it, and they think like some of the pee went in there. Now mind you, there's fish in this public water supply. They drained the entire public water supply and pumped new water in there. And I've read about these stories. It is so ridiculous. But that little bit of negativity will outweigh all of his fans and all of that adoring thing, because there's no way you're ever going to be able to change it, and the negativity and often is not justified. And I remember Brian just being like frustrated. He's like, this industry that I loved is like so nasty. He goes, I just have to walk away from it.
Yeah, I just said that. That's just and it was the right mental decision for me. Again, not that I love it. Obviously, I'm a big part of things still. And I support everything about it. But I it's not like I'm not working with animals anymore. It was the Tinley Park / reptile show / Facebook groups / all that stuff. I just have to go, all right, well, and what's really weird, like Phil Goss once said it to me from USARK, and it was really kind of a bummer, is like, how much money I could raise for those guys through my,
Of course, talk about this.
We could raise a ton of money. Yeah. And Phil's a great guy. Love Phil.
Yes.
Great guy. But he's in a very tough spot, because if he partnered up with me to make them lots of money, it would look really bad for USARK, because they'd be like, how dare USARK, this animal abuser or whatever. You see what I'm saying?
Do you think people that support USARK are your haters, or do you think
a lot of them? Yes.
Really? I would think they didn't even know.
No.
And it's really interesting. So like even Zoom Ed, like we love Zoom Ed and stuff like that, but Zoom Ed won't even line up with a single like breeder, because if that breeder goes and does anything, I think we have to look at like the Jared and the Subway kind of thing.
And they used to have you in their stuff back in the 80s, I think.
Right. No.
That was a long time ago.
But it's like it could be a good partnership in some cases, but we're doing stuff with Animal Plastics now and Rodent Pro, and I appreciate their faith in us, but they can't. USARK, my involvement with USARK, they're very scared to do anything that could. that can be repeated or this and that, because they have to play in a very dignified arena,
Right.
and any little thing that could be used, a blemish against them, could be used. So they have to remove themselves from that and isolate themselves and not do things publicly. Even all the public posts have to be groomed and checked out in times of where care is needed.
It's just the political side. Now, I have no beef with Phil or USARK. I think they're fantastic and I support them. But it's a bummer that I couldn't. I mean, I could probably raise hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Do you want to and they won't let you?
I would totally want to.
So they've said no?
No, it's not that they said no. He's Phil told
They
me
won't
basically hey, we can't endorse any kind of thing.
Nobody.
But
It's
if
not
I
just
want to
him.
go it on my own and
Yeah.
do it on my own, I can do it. But they're not gonna defend me on anything. They're not gonna come to my why is it it's just, and that's fine. Like I said, I'm not mad about it. I'm just saying it's a bummer. And going back to what Kevin was saying about Rodent Pro and animal plastics. It's interesting, I'm obviously friends with a lot of social media stars, right? And if you were in any other business besides the reptile business, a Zoom Ed type of thing would give me hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to be involved with them. Hundreds of thousands. Huge deals. Guys that have lesser following than me, friends of mine that are in other industries, shoes, whatever the case is, they get hundreds of thousands of dollars because they are the top dog and they want that name to be attached to them. In the reptile industry, it's completely reverse. It's like,
so weird.
You could go to Zoom Ed and say, hey, and I love Zoom. Zoom Ed actually does help me out. They send me free stuff and stuff.
Right.
I love Zoom Ed.
Yeah, they got some great products.
We love Zoom Ed, don't we?
We love Zoom Ed, and they love us. They were actually really good to us.
Okay. Well, I love everyone, like Rita, Gary, all the guys, Josh, all the guys at Zoom Ed are fantastic to me. But if I went to them and said, hey, I need, I've got this project that we need to sponsor $10,000, they would say no. Which is wild because I get Dollar Shave Club paying me huge money to do a Dollar Shave Club ad.
You get Audible too? You got all the big guys?
I found that their razors dull quicker.
Wow.
Than a
trust
Mach
me.
1 G5 razor.
No, that's not
Yikes.
true. Just go to dollarshaveclub.com/Brian B. You can get 10% off. It's a good company.
I like Bill Burr. Bill Burr on some of his endorsements.
I don't even use this product. Yeah, Bill Burr's too honest.
They're talking about something undies come to you every month. There's new underwear or something like that for your chick or something like that.
Oh
And he's like, I love listening to Bill Burr. He's like, what the hell is this? And he goes, they send you. It's just I love Bill Burr.
That's his brand, dude. He doesn't give a.
But when he was edgy. No, but his wife now has neutralized him. But when he was edgy, and
is that why you don't get married? Are you scared maybe they'll neutralize you? Because you've never had a married wife. Do you guys know that Kevin doesn't have a wife? He's never had a wife. So, but you don't think it would are you ever gonna get married ever?
I don't need to.
I'm just curious, man. People ask all the time. Have you seen your DMs? Oh my gosh, is Kevin married? Constantly.
Yeah. I'm just
You be sliding in his DMs too?
Dude, Kevin's a very popular man. He writes books and stuff. Do you write any books?
No.
Didn't think so. People love him for that.
Excuse me. Ready?
Yeah. No, I actually had a...
Ed, teach me. I didn't teach me stuff.
Yeah. No, I actually had a book thing going,
Yeah.
and I just couldn't do it.
Is there okay?
It's a child's cartoon book, okay?
No,
that's all
no,
he's capable
actually,
of
they
doing.
do well.
And it has dirty snake cases in it. It goes, oh, poopies.
The poopies.
You need to clean. Even snakes go poopies.
No, that's... Yeah.
You guys can
We'll
play
wait till
Brian's book
tomorrow.
on
Yeah,
Brian.
we'll wait till tomorrow. Let's go play with our... No. Yeah, I didn't have the time right now, and although I'm working with Google on a kids online book thing that we're doing, that's happening, but I'm not involved in writing it. I'm just
Endorsing it?
Yeah. No, I'm not endorsing it. It's actually it's they take our videos and they put them into kids' words. They'll take a video and they'll do maybe 20 screenshots with some kids' words, and the kids can read through it. It's a pretty cool little project, and I think we're doing 3 books with them.
You could definitely do stuff for kids for sure.
Yeah.
Can I ask you? People are.
Oh, Jesus.
Holy moly. I'm reading that twice. I'm like, what?
Did you know that Kevin's really shy around women? Do you know that? He gets super uncomfortable. He doesn't know how to do it. That's what, yeah. So when people send him messages saying they want to be his wife, he gets super uncomfortable, right?
Yeah.
It's the thing about you. It's great. I like it. It's adorable.
Nice.
Are you talking?
Yeah.
I'm not listening.
Yes, you are. You're always listening.
All right, what's the last question?
Have we gotten every question so they can
What else
get
we
out of
got,
here?
man? We got some comments that we got to get to.
Yeah, we have a lot of comments because we have
Only the
over
good ones.
1,000 people watching.
Nice.
1,000 people want to see Brian and Kevin.
That's
Yeah,
good.
Because this was
People are
actually
very happy with
Probably
pretty
Brian, though.
easy.
Yeah.
It was even after like our long day, but it was like easy.
No, this is fun. This is fun just sitting down. It's like we're just shooting the shit, which is pretty
That's
awesome.
the best
This
way to
is
do it.
actually so almost like when Brian and I are just talking.
Yeah, talking.
We have some things like we're trying to like just say, hey, this
You have
there's
a
another
bromance.
side of this person or what. We have definitely a bromance.
It's a
but
bromance, guys.
Yeah,
But it's very easy to talk, and we really want to hear what the other person has to say and what's going on, and it's kind of cool. It's
If you could have anybody else here, who would it be? Like breeder wise.
Like I said, I'd like.
Boom!
I seriously, I think that Miguel's great. I would personally, I'd like to have Miguel here because
I
he's
don't
a
want
new.
him here. He's smacked.
I agree. He's just self-promoting the whole time.
No, he's a newcomer in the sense that
He's West Coast, dude.
He's West Coast.
Yeah.
Raw.
West
West Coast.
He's
West Coast,
he's a little
East Coast.
gangster.
What about
Yeah,
what about
he's
besides
Midwest.
him?
And he does.
East Midwest, yo!
He likes-
What's up?
He likes
Let's
the
do a
cow-
shout out to my boys
I'm
over at
sorry.
Jabroni Reptiles. You guys are slaying.
Stop
Yeah,
promoting
it's
that.
like-
Jeez.
But he likes the Cowboys too, so he's probably out. So
Yeah.
besides him,
How about a YouTuber? How about that? Would that be easier, or would you want
an
to be
animal YouTuber or just
Oh yes, because we're very niche right now. I mean,
animal YouTuber?
Stevie D.
Tyler Nolan would be awesome.
Yes, he would be
Tyler
awesome. What about Chandler? Would you ever have him? Would you talk? I have so many
I
questions to
don't-
ask
I
you.
I heard that he likes to bathe his king cobra.
Guys, listen,
I heard
he
that's the
loves
only
it.
thing he does.
No, it's not the only thing he
Somebody
does.
was saying that
Stop.
to me, and
Oh
I'm
my
like,
gosh.
I don't know any of this. I know he went and rescued like the 20.
Yes, he
king
did. He
cobras.
does great stuff,
Awesome.
Kevin. Yeah,
Chandler.
for you guys know, I love Chandler, and
Yeah.
that's why I put him in the video. And I like to make fun of that. Maybe he's made like 8 bathing videos about his king cobras, but come on.
I don't know Chandler, but I hope I meet him
Should.
this next trip.
Yeah,
I
he'd be a
hope
good person to
because I
meet.
like his stuff. I think he's a good dude, and by all accounts, I like what he does. So yeah, I'm hoping that this trip I go down to Florida, I'll get a chance to hook up with him and see what he's all about. But unfortunately, I don't know him personally, so I don't know anything about him other than.
Then
what
you're
I've seen.
clearly.
Yeah, but I think YouTuber-wise, you know who's like an interesting YouTuber that isn't a reptile guy per se, but Paul Cafaro's really cool.
Why don't
You
I know? What's he known for?
He's a fish guy.
Oh boy,
I
the
like
fish
fish.
YouTubers. Oh boy, that's
Yeah.
a hard
It's
thing
like-
to get into.
Yeah, he's a good dude, man.
Is he a fisherman?
He's a younger guy. Well, he does some fishing, but he also collects a lot of fish. Like he keeps a lot of fish, all freshwater, I believe. But he's a real passionate young guy that is real enthusiastic, very open to listen. Like to learn. He's not one of those.
That's great. I love it when you get people that can change.
And he crushes it, man. I mean, like every video is like 200,000-300,000 views. He's crushing it,
I feel like there's not a ton of people in that niche. It's like ants, Ants Canada, but like that guy, he's the best.
Well,
I love
don't
that
know if
channel.
I mean, there's like raw fishing. There's catch 'em all fishing.
Seen Catch 'em All. I'm familiar with
Catch 'em
them.
All. They're all good. Zach is cool. And Paul, those guys are all kind of down there in the Florida area. And then of course you got Joey from King of DIY. That's a really good friend of mine.
I'm in like La La Land.
I
like to watch these third world videos where they take like a Coke bottle and then they put it in this puddle and then they catch these fish and they're going and all this different stuff. And then I'm like, I watch that video and then I watch another one and then another one and they're like, now we take 3 Coke bottles and this water runoff and look at this. And I'm missing like the real professional YouTubers, but I'm
What
watching
do I have to
these
do?
people.
I have to
third
force
world
you.
nations.
He also watches those videos where they have a leucistic king cobra and then it ends up here.
Yeah,
But,
yeah, that's true.
so
That is
maybe
100%
that's
true.
good for fishing.
But it had 8 million
Okay,
views.
touche.
Like, how couldn't you see that video? Did you see that video before you
Which
told
one?
him?
What's that?
The Leucistic King Cobra video. Did you see
didn't
that?
see it,
8
no.
million views, and it's It's in 720. You can't even tell it's a King Cobra. In my opinion, it's very
Dude, they're
hard.
free handling that. So they're free handling
Oh my
that king
gosh.
cobra, like doo 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 doo, and they're like, the guy's like, I'm more comfortable if I don't have a hook. So like, take the hook away. It's like okay, but that
It's
was her
wrapped
when
up in
she
his
was
arm.
first caught.
Yeah.
She would annihilate him
Yeah,
right now.
yeah.
You try to do that. You can't do that because she's mine and I love her too much.
Yeah. No,
but
she
she'll
was
kill
probably-
you.
Yeah, she was probably.
She'll kill you dead.
Yeah, she's.
You're like you go, you're bam. It's like 1 second. It's over.
You should. I would love for you to talk about that video because it wraps up on his hand. I don't understand it, but it looks scary to me.
We can easily go through that. We can like look at the video and stuff, and I'll give them credit because I'm watching some of his videos. So these guys are over in Indonesia and they're free handling like some different stuff.
Yeah,
and it is literally a matter of time and before they're going to get nailed and they're going to die. But he's doing all this, but I'm like, I now know this snake. This snake would never, ever tolerate what they were doing.
Those guys are really amazing, though. You know, the Indonesian snake handlers are shockingly good. Like I've been around some of those guys when I was in Indonesia where, like, in the course of a half hour, I thought they got bit 5 times.
Do you think they're good or they don't care?
No, I think they're really good. To be totally honest with you, I think.
Maybe
this guy's not good. The guys I know were good.
Well, I'm not gonna like pull that guy out, but I saw some handling videos and I didn't see any like magic. I saw like it was almost like just like disrespect of what the animal is actually capable of doing. So it was like this. I don't really care. And luckily, you know that a lot of times that's more on the animal itself. The animal just. That one button wasn't pushed enough for it to commit, but I didn't see this magic. I didn't see that.
Yeah, well, I think those guys. I probably was around more professional, you know, like pros that are. I mean, they were unbelievably, shockingly good at what they did. I mean, like King Cobra's 15-footers, 14, 15-footers. That, like I said, I literally sat there. They showed me handling them, and I was just like. At least 5 times we're like, did he just get bit? Did he just get bit? I mean, that quick. I mean, like, really? I'm like, oh my, how did he not get bit? You know, I mean, this thing is charging him, and he's like inches away from a strike. Like, and I'm just like, that is crazy to me. And it was pretty impressive. You know, I know the Indians, you know, have a lot of that as well. You know, they have, you know, guys that from this big, you know, from a kid, they're being trained to handle.
I always love watching the people that like can go and see like a mark in the ground and like there's a hole and
they know
snake went in there and that is just like
that's how Africa is. The West Africans are ball pythons.
Yeah.
Well, do they catch them?
They'll feel with their feet.
They're like no, like don't go in that hole. It's got a cobra.
I don't see.
Like, what?
You know how they used to catch them? They used to dig them out. That was like an industry back in the day. I've read about it in your book, believe it or not. There's no videos of that on the internet. You guys never noticed that? Wouldn't it be cool to film that?
Well, Stephen Brockhammer did some. Yeah, M&S, yeah.
Are they new?
No, I mean years ago.
I've only seen old stuff.
Yeah,
do you think they still do all that the same way?
So they got this wooden thing with the metal on the end, and they're just pulling it away. And
yeah, no, I'm sure they still do it. I think that it's changing in West Africa now because the market is what it used
now
to be.
Canning and killing. They're killing.
So they don't sell them; they eat them, or is it
a lot are going to China now, preserved. You know,
so they can them. So the whole ball python population is now on the decline over in Benin,
so what happened
Ghana,
was
and
before
Togo.
you used to have to collect the females, let them lay their eggs, and then release them.
Mm-hmm.
Now they can collect them, let them lay their eggs, and kill them and send them to China for food.
Well, so they were technically they were farming them, and they would have to like to do exports and get CITES quotas from the government. You had to basically have this practice, which basically. They actually increased the population of the ball pythons and all the agriculture. And so they would go out to these holes, collect these gravid females or get the eggs, and then they would hatch some of the babies and then have to let some of the babies go.
Some of the babies got let go too.
So the population was always building, and the people had this great respect for them. They said, you know, because every year the resource is going to be there again, if not even better, as you're building it. And they're eating the rodents, so they're friends of the farmers and stuff like that. But now as we've been breeding ball pythons in such huge numbers, we no longer need those Benin, Ghana.
There was like 120,000 captive hatch baby ball pythons coming into the country in the 90s and early 2000s.
And so there's really no demand. So suddenly the babies are not worth that $5 or $6, which they sell them for over there at the time. And they're like, well, since they're not exporting all these quota and we don't want these, it was too many babies. We weren't buying them. Nobody was buying them. So they started realizing this isn't working. And then the tinning factories are going over there. So now they want the adult snakes. So they're bringing in snakes that are being rendered for a skin. They're being rendered for the meat. They don't have any respect for reproduction of them anymore. So now it's like you're taking the breeding population, and that is a horrific thing. Which is it's so sad So sadly, we're not even of all those baby ball pythons, we were still taking all those ball pythons, and people were just keeping them as like pets, and like some of them are dying. That is better than what's ultimately happening.
Yeah.
I'll give you one parallel: Salvadoran iguanas or Colombian iguanas. So remember the Colombian boas and the Colombian iguanas?
Yep.
They used to come in.
Yep.
So what they would do every year, and I'm sure you probably know this, but every year they would go into the forest, these tracts of rainforest that were like still being prime habitat where things are living there. The nut farmers are getting stuff, and they're collecting gravid boas and gravid iguanas. They're bringing them in, letting them lay the eggs, letting them birth. They release those animals, and that was like farming. Yep. And we were getting all those Colombian boa babies, and you're getting those iguanas. And then the iguanas come in. So in theory, if all those iguanas came in and ultimately died from metabolic bone disease because somebody was feeding them lettuce, that ends up being a better thing than when people don't get those iguanas and stuff. So they lost all the demand for the iguanas. So what's now happened is we're not getting the Colombian boas, we're not getting the baby iguanas, and then they go in there and then they cut down all the forest, they bring all the cattle through, and the forest is gone. And I've talked to people that said it was a really good thing, and now the demand was lost because we produce a lot of Colombian boas and stuff like that, so the demand is gone, and now the rainforest is gone. Yeah. So you have to sometimes think globally or think of the bigger picture on some of these things, and sadly we're but that iguana with the metabolic bone disease, I mean, that bothers me horribly, but it was still better because the rainforest was there that supported all the iguanas, and now it's gone, and now it's just
it was a sustainable way to drive revenue. And when you put when there's value on the animals' lives in where they're from, let's take great white sharks as an example off of South Africa, which is a whole nother story now because they've disappeared, but because they're obviously going somewhere else. We don't know where they're going, and it's a tragedy. But back in the 50s and 60s, they were killing great white sharks massively, wiping them out. And then ecotourism came around, and all of a sudden they could make more money taking people out to cage dive with sharks than kill them. And so I think that's what Kevin's saying with iguanas and the ball pythons is when you take away the value of the animal being alive in the wild, the next step is to kill the animal in the wild because there's no value in it, or there's no reason to sustain it. And that's happening all over the world. And like I said, great white sharks it's a bummer in South Africa because if I'm not mistaken, this last year there was not one great white shark.
So has anybody ever seen this? 'Cause I love sharks. I'm like a shark kind of fanatic. And great whites and salmon sharks and makos. I mean, amazing. So they show this video where orcas were catching a great white, and they hold it, and then they basically cut it, or they eviscerate it, and then they pull out its liver. And they're orcas really love to eat the liver of sharks and maybe rays and stuff. And what happens is there's a smell that when the great white is killed and then this liver comes out, there's a smell that's supposed to be given off, and another shark smells it. It is the signal to take off, and they will swim away and be gone. And they were talking about maybe that had happened in South Africa.
Yeah, because there was an orca that killed a great white last year.
That was just one, but once they learn how to kill these great whites, and it's amazing watching they swim up to the great white and they bite it in the head and they're holding it, and I don't know if they're suffocating it.
They are vicious animals. I mean, the orcas are vicious.
They're so being so smart. I mean, a great white doesn't have that mental capacity that an orca does. And then if there's a pod of orcas that are hunting great whites, but a great white is a magnificent predator, and it's how can anything terminate this? They do it quite easily. Yeah. And then they smash them and they do all this stuff, and I think they hold them upside down, or the great white suffocates, or. But it was really interesting to see that. And I know we're going off point, but
No, but the thing is, I think there wasn't any great white sightings this year in off the coast of South
And that's
Africa.
where they were doing a lot of they're dragging the little fake seal, and they're doing all the breaching, and Jaws Air or whatever, and all
Jaws,
that.
Yeah, my buddy
Air Jaws,
Andy Brandy Casagrande is a buddy of mine.
How do you have time to watch all these videos, guys? Jeez, oh my God.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing is, you got to put value. If what did Crutchfield say, right? conservation through commercialization. That was his tag.
Yeah, I wish they did that with Madagascar, because you could do so much stuff with Madagascar, because there's, I mean, you know, it's like an evil thing to consider. Let's say if you were in Madagascar and you were like farming panther chameleons, pardalis chameleons, and you sold those, and then you released some of the babies there, and there was commercialization and gave the people there to value not just the chameleons, but also value the forest that contains the chameleons and not using pesticides, but kill the insects. But it just, for some reason, conservation has this thing that commercial sales of animals or even animal products are always negative. So we have this pristine idea that I'm just gonna like just shut my brain down. And like I was getting this, you know, I do rattlesnake conservation and I do alligator research and stuff like that. And they're like, well, if you keep and breed any reptile, therefore you're evil because you're only looking at the reptiles for money. And that is, so, you guys are so ridiculous to even think that. But you cannot talk to a ecologist or a professional biologist that just can't think like that. And I could sit here and try to argue it, but they always will believe that you just want to like sell those black market rattlesnakes or something like that. And slowly I've won over some people and they understand a little bit differently. But Madagascar would be, you know, like a great example. You could literally help things, bring money to the cause. But I talked to somebody who went over to Madagascar and he told me they're basically selling like radiated plowshare tortoises or like as meat.
Yeah.
And they were like products. Yeah. And all this, even though they're protected, but you're driving down the road and you're seeing this. Yeah. And these animals are being massacred.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Just think about that. Plowshares.
Yeah.
Like the most endangered tortoise on the planet.
And literally you could see it there, and it's not working because there's no value in that animal's life.
Yeah, because they can't sell it, they can't keep it, they can't breed it, they can't do anything with it. And yeah, I mean that's what happened in West Africa, right? You know, I mean we built a great network of people that were making so much money off of me that they would do everything. Pumped. Yeah, they would do everything because it was a great living. I mean, ball python trappers were some of the highest paid guys in Accra or in Benin, you know, in Cotonou or Abomey or Lomé. And
lo mein, yes, lo mein is good. Veggie lo mein is
chicken lo mein. It's good. But my point is that, you know, I think there's some truth to the fact that if you can put value on it for the people, you know, it helps in conservation. You know, in some cases.
So what we can do is we're going to wrap this podcast up because hopefully you haven't bored.
Brian looks tired.
I think we had 13 people in our audience tonight. Thank you very much, guys.
13 guys. We did it.
And so Brian and I have a lot to talk about. Like I think I want to know for our listeners and viewers, are you interested in hearing about like the origins of all sorts of different things early on, the different morphs? Like some of the stuff we went through, some of the successes, some of the failures, who was involved. Are you interested in hearing that? Because I've announced this before, and people want to hear about like the history of ball pythons and stuff like that. Yeah. Brian is a big player of that, and obviously all sorts of other different morphs. There's so many colubrids, meaning king snakes and corn snakes, that Brian is so successfully involved in and has a long history in bringing so many different morphs to the market. But I want to know, are you interested in that? And because, you know, we can keep rambling. I mean, I'd like to ramble about honeybees and bugs and other things too. We're talking about sharks. I can easily go right down the shark hole.
The amount of yeses that are now coming.
Yeah, of course they do, because they want to see Kevin talk about everything, and Brian's here, so of course they want to listen to that.
We'll do it. We'll do this.
Make sure you guys follow Brian Barczyk, right?
He
needs it.
He's an asshole, though.
That's how you do that.
He's an animal abuser. He's an animal abuser.
And he really likes poop as... Oh, wait a minute. I get this. So you leave poop in the cage so the animal has something to do.
Yes.
And I wish my cage was being clean versus like a clean, empty, sterile... Whoa, dude, that's edgy. And then it can roll it around once it dries like a ball. And then it might grow fungus and mold. Wait a minute, that may someday, through evolution, become a plant.
It's enrichment. That's how you enrich your snakes.
Enrichment. I'm getting this.
Listen, I've always been about being edgy and taking the next step. And I think this is just.
And is that why you do Dollar Shave Club? Because they have a very sharp edge.
Yeah.
With promotional code.
I actually turned down Harry's because I wanted to stay with Dollar Shave.
They wouldn't
Is
even
that
touch
true?
us.
That is true. Seriously, that is true.
So I wonder who's better, is Harry's or
I
Dollar
don't know.
Shave?
I
Club?
like Dollar Shave Club. I like that. I don't use it for this, but I do use their lotion and stuff.
Well,
like
I'm using Harry's razors right about now, and
No,
it's a
seriously.
blue handle
No,
and
no,
Barber
seriously.
wraps
What are we doing?
electrical tape around.
No, seriously. It's a Dollar
So I can tell whose it is.
Brian B. 20% off your next order. But yeah, no.
And we're done, right? We're done. Anything else you guys want to throw in there?
Yeah, I think we're done.
Have a good
Thank
night,
you for
guys.
everybody that contributed, and
thanks,
I
guys.
hope
You
you
guys
really
great.
enjoyed it, and thank you very much.
Love you.